Alrighty, folks, welcome into the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. We are live once again. It is March 12th, 2025. I'm back, feeling great. I went to bed early last night, which is always a good thing to do. When you're feeling a little bit shit, you know what I recommend? Just go to bed. Sleep it off. That is always a great first step. And thankfully, my mental health was rescued by the fact that I was immediately proven right. AOC was organizing her own letter with New York City and New York State officials, where so it was the New York House of Representatives, the U.S. House of Representatives, New York State Senate, U.S. Assembly, public advocate of the city of New York. She was organizing her city and local state and local government to send their own letter. And you know who else is on there? Sauron, who's running for mayor. So not only were people wrong about it, friend of the show, Jabari Britsport, not only were people wrong about it and grifting over it, the entire argument of like, oh, she's not doing her job was just wrong. And the reason why I was having and I will happily admit this, a bit of a crash out was just because of how stupid people are. If you think right now in the moment, yelling about AOC is the tactic that's going to save this guy, you're fucking stupid. I need to see you out on the fucking streets. One selfie from a protest per AOC post. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. We need to create some sort of limit on the number of AOC posts because they're beginning to get to the point of stupidity. And like, I get that it's an easy way to get likes on Twitter because you get boosted when you do anything anti-AOC because Elon Musk owns the website. But at a certain point, like, it gets to be enough. It gets to be enough. I ain't going to a protest as a green card holder anymore. I'm quiet because I'm trying to reflect on what I should say here, which is it's incredibly easy for me to say, yes, you should. It's incredibly easy for me to say that as a U.S. citizen and child of U.S. citizens born in America. But what I would say to you is that every single one of us are at risk. And if you try to privilege your own personal risk over the collective risk that we're all under, you are creating the environment, you are creating the straitjacket, you are creating the chains that will bind you for the rest of your life. If you don't stand up now for your own rights, then they don't exist. This is something that I've tried to tell people for a long time. Haven't I talked to you about that? Relying on the Constitution is like relying on a piece of paper as a bulletproof vest. The Constitution doesn't exist. Your rights don't exist, except how we collectively respect them. And if you step down the moment somebody tries to oppress us, then your rights were never real in the first place. And you're never going to get them back. I understand the fear. I understand the desire not to suffer oppression. This is very normal shit. But these people, the Trump people, are relying on you not fighting back. That's legitimately what it all comes down to. And the moment you let your anger subside for fear, you have already become one of them. Because that's what motivates the right. Fear and uncertainty. Everything the right wing does is based off of that. They are the ultimate psychological cucks. Do you think Assad will become that guy for the left within the next 4 years? I can't think of any politician that people care about anymore. Bernie and AOC or Katie Porter, maybe Hassan could be a political figure. The reality is that who did we think was going to be the person who became the leader of the left in 2013? Who did we think was going to become the leader of the left in 2013? Elizabeth Warren? So what I'm trying to say is, I'm not saying that we should try to build up somebody. We should be on the hunt. We should be on the look. But the reality is we didn't have any idea that Bernie Sanders was going to emerge. I personally like Sean Fain. Now, I think that it's probably unlikely he's going to do it, but you never know. I have my criticisms of AOC. I really do have my criticisms of AOC. But I think it's very stupid for the left to just, to treat her as if she's any worse than any other Democrat. She's better than every other Democrat, bar 5. And it's crazy how people will be like, Andy Bashir, great, AOC, and it's like AOC is quadrillion times better than Andy Bashir. Now, my problem with AOC is she has terrible advice. She has absolutely terrible advice, and it's done a lot of damage to her reputation. And I don't know how to bring it back. You know, I think she's been mollified, or she believes that she can play the inside game, but she will never be ever be given power by the inside game. She just won't. Bernie himself wanted it to be Elizabeth Warren, which was the ironic thing. He said, run against Hillary Clinton, please. And she refused. And that's when Bernie Sanders decided to run himself. So it's important for all of us to stop sitting here whining and complaining about 2018. You need to be thinking about what you're going to do in 2025. Talking about 2028 is giving yourself permission to be static for 3 fucking years. You need to not think like that. You guys are in the hardcore of caring about politics. How many normal people are sitting here thinking about politics at 7:44 a.m. Pacific time on March of an odd year? It's not very many people. So the fact that we have anybody here at all shows you that you are the hardest of the hardcore, and you need to act like it. What would the hardest of the hardcore do is what you should be asking yourself, because that's you. Are you acting like you're the hardest of the hardcore? Sometimes I feel like I'm the only person in my circle that remembers life pre-2015. Nobody does. That's the thing that's insane. That's the thing that's insane. People legitimately do not remember what it was like in 2012. It's crazy. My Twitch harassment stalking story is live at Rolling Stone. It's an intense read, but I'm proud of it. Thank you to the brave women and man who spoke to me for this piece. You're brave and bold and badass. Well, that seems interesting. Oh, I don't have a Rolling Stone subscription.
How many loans do you write each month?
About 60.
Yeah. What was it 4 years ago?
10, maybe 15.
Yeah, I was a bartender. Now I own a boat.
You own a boat. So how many of these are adjustable rate mortgages?
Well, most.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'd say about 90%. Yeah, the bonuses on those skyrocketed a few years ago. Adjustables are bread and honey.
So do applicants ever get rejected?
Seriously? Look, if they get rejected, I suck at my job.
Well, even if they have no money?
Well, my firm offers ninja loans. No income, no job. You know, I just leave the income section blank if I want. Corporate doesn't care. These people just want homes, you know, and they go with the flow.
Good for you.
Your companies don't verify.
If I write a loan on Friday afternoon, big bank is gonna buy it by Monday lunch.
Yeah, same here.
Could you hold on a second?
Yeah.
Elon's dumbass did one of the most easily dunkable things with his cuts, cut 9/11 first responder healthcare. Oh no. Oh wow, the 9/11 first responders are getting cut? Well, wow.
Is not real.
I guess we should care now. I know you're trying to do optics, and I get it. I just for you guys, I don't even want to pretend like that's any different. I don't give a shit if you're a 9/11 first responder or you're a single mother. I don't care. You deserve health care.
I don't get it. Why are they confessing?
They're not confessing.
They're bragging.
Yeah. I think the stock market, how's the stock market doing today? Oh, okay. Never mind. It was originally, yeah, they started to crash again. Originally, it was actually up on the day, but then it just ate shit. So I'm pretty sure Tesla rose yesterday. Okay. Oh, it's having a nice bounce today. Okay. This is good. This is a big recovery too. Another 6% back. It's it's climbing half. Canada to impose 25% retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. We must act. Europe retaliates against Trump's 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. The problem with the tariffs, reciprocal tariffs with the U.S. is, what do we make? That's the problem with the what does the U.S. make? Bombs? What we make is credit cards and financial transactions. Like we don't make shit. We don't sell things. Inflation was a little under 3%. So yeah, 2.8%. So that was pretty good. NVIDIA, this seems like a dead cat bounce to me. VIX is down. VIX is not, is still really high. Gleason is one of the only options to buy gear, grinding, or cutting machines. Liquor, boomer motorcycles. I mean, the Harley is like dying out. Zoomers don't like them. All right, so what are we talking about today, chat? Let's see here. Ethan Klein is insane, and there's really nothing else to say. Ethan Klein is batshit crazy. He's just making up the shit on CPS. I never, as far as I'm aware, told anyone to call CPS, and I don't think anybody in my chat ever said anything about CPS. But here's the thing. I don't know anything about it, but it's really weird the way he's attacking me on it, which makes me kind of question. It's like an interesting way of spinning it, right? Like it's a way. I had nothing to do with it. Hassan had nothing to do with it. But you start saying that we did, and then it's like, okay, so why are you deflecting? Why are you deflecting? I don't know, Ethan. I've never been there. And apparently, according to a lot of people, you need to know. So isn't there a possibility that it was his former housekeeper that's suing him? Isn't there a possibility that it is like a doctor or a pediatrician or somebody that knows the family? Why is it me? Why is it Denims? We don't know him. Like it could have literally be CPS told him that it's someone he knows. So it's not us. So it's not a Denims chatter. It's not a Mike chatter. It's not a Hassan chatter. It's not me. It's not. So what's he talking about? I really don't understand. Like Ethan Klein's batshit crazy. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I think what happened is Ethan Klein is surrounded by yes men. Like that's the problem that Ethan Klein is like, he's surrounded by yes men. He's surrounded by people that he pays to be his friends. And they're never, I mean, like he was saying how the IDF killed less Arabs than Hezbollah in front of a Lebanese man. Like the disrespect of that, the outright disrespect of that is insane. Like, look at this.
I'm not trying to have a back and forth, but I think it's.
I'm not trying to have a back and forth. I'm not trying to have a back and forth. Well, wow, AB, are you not trying to talk about millions of people who are being attacked and killed and starved and ethnically cleansed? Are you not trying to have a back and forth with one of this country's leading Zionist propagandists? Are you trying not to have a back and forth?
It's fair to say the IDF has definitely killed more
than Hezbollah.
I mean, if you want to
hold on. You think the IDF killed more Muslims than Hezbollah?
Are you talking about who you think is responsible, or just killed in general?
As a group,
I thought you said.
I said Hezbollah's killed a shit more load of Arabs than IDF has. You're saying that's not true? Because Hezbollah is credited with about 500,000 deaths. And
Hezbollah is credited with. He just makes shit up. This guy's never read a book and he just throws shit out. The reason why he feels comfortable throwing this kind of shit out there, just misinformation and dishonesty, is because because Arabs are not considered to be people by Americans. And that is the disgusting reality that we live in, where, and it doesn't matter if you're an Arab Christian. It's not just about Muslim. It's racial. Arabs are just not considered to be human and by Americans. I don't know why. It's insane. But it's just reality. And like, he just blatantly lies to his audience.
In Syria.
Let's ask our friend ChatGPT.
I've looked into this pretty extensively.
Okay. Guys, looked into it extensively. He typed something into ChatGPT or Googled. That's the problem with people like Ethan Klein. And a lot of his friends, they're just so below par intelligence that what they think is looking into is something that you would be embarrassed to do.
Hezbollah has killed significantly more people.
I'm not trying to.
Are you reading something contradictory, AB?
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT says overall, due to the scale of frequency of IDF operations over decades, they have likely caused more Muslim casualties than Hezbollah.
No shot. Hold on. What was the question you asked it?
Hezbollah versus IDF, who has killed more Muslims?
Ask if it's including the Syrian civil war. I mean, that makes no sense. I've literally fact-checked this a million times, I feel like.
I fact checked this a million times, and you got the basic facts wrong. Damn, what a surprise.
I mean, they both suck. They're both fucking terrible.
They both suck. They both suck. Who sucks? Say the IDF sucks. Say the IDF sucks. Right? Say the IDF sucks. Instead of saying both, say the IDF does, you little bitch.
Yep.
That's that, you know.
Yep. They all try to like pipe in. This is how they cope, by the way. This is how they cope, being Ethan Klein's little foot soldiers. And honestly, Hassan is too nice. And that's the reality. And people are too nice to these guys. Like, we have sat back and just, you know, been like, well, I'm sure they don't believe it. They seem like good guys. And it's like, no, this is how you're giving them the space to cope, where they get to be a propagandist for a genocide and then pretend like, and then make the genocide, bringing that up, a joke. That's a joke of the H3 stream now.
Killing is horrible.
It doesn't really matter.
That's why we support. Oh, it doesn't matter all of a sudden.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean,
if we trust ChatGPT on this one, I don't know. It says that since 1984 IDF, the number ranges from approximately 91,000 to over 115,000.
well, listen, yeah, and
Underestimating what's been going on in Gaza. Underestimating what's going on in Gaza, because it's been hundreds of thousands of people who have directly died, and probably another 100,000 that are going to indirectly die. But it may even be more. Depends on what war crimes they do in the future.
Hezbollah in Syria alone killed double that much.
Hit that button. Hit that button. And like, of course, like one of the main things about him is he just says shit. He's just trying to create the idea that any kind of resistance to the IDF is illegitimate. And like the reason why, you know, a lot of people look at these resistance groups as bad is because they are Islamic, Islamist groups, far right Islamist nationalist groups, which I don't support. But the reason why those are the leading forces in the Middle East is because of the United States and Israeli involvement. You know what I like? The United States of America has been supporting this Islamist as a counterbalance to what? Leftism, as a counterbalance to pan-Arab nationalism, as a counterbalance to socialism, as a counterbalance to secular nationalism. That's why all these Al-Qaeda and ISIS groups, and there's an Al-Qaeda group in Syria right now, allied with Israel, doing mass murder of the Alawites there. They just killed 1,000 civilians this past weekend. That's the ally of Israel. In your only video on Gaza, you admit to not knowing about politics, try to cover Israel-Palestine as drama slop for a centrist audience, defend Asmongold for inferior culture's genocide comment, then attack pro-Palestinian voices. So I guess you just wanted the ad revenue then. Mutar says, I get watching other people's videos is what you're really good at, but try vetting out slander before promoting. I have never defended or backed the Israeli genocide on innocent Gazans, nor will I ever. Actually, you did. Actually, you did, Buddha. Like, this is who you see, here's the thing, Buddha. Like, you think that you're on the team, but you're not. Asmongold says that people like you should be killed as an inferior culture, and he doesn't care. You're not on the team. Buddha is particularly insane because he's a victim of the same right-wing mobs he often farms in his videos. He literally left Twitter because of vicious racism, and here he is back again, only to farm more. Motherfucker, you went on Hajj. They hate you more than they hate me. That's crazy, man. They've called for nuking Mecca. That's what these people have called for, that you're allying with yourself, man. When has Asman said he thinks inferior people should be killed? He was banned for 2 weeks over it. He said he didn't care when the inferior culture was genocided. If I said something differently, let me just correct it. He didn't care. He didn't care. And it's really like, one of the things about this is a lot of people, even on the left, even in Hassan's community, and this is what I need you to call out. I've called this drama, and say that me or Denims or whatever, we're farming drama. No, we're not. We're standing up for ourselves. We're standing up for these movements. Just because you want to put your head in the sand and never have any bad vibes, that doesn't make it our fault. He said Saudi Arabia has Sharia law, which means Muslims endorse genocide, which means Palestinians do because they are all the same. The United States of America is the power behind Saudi Arabia. That's our puppet state that we created. It's just pathetic, man. It's just a pathetic, embarrassing.
Is not who I am. I will always extend charity and grace.
I think that it's good that Hassan does this, but at a certain point, it also is like it goes beyond charity and grace to like he's being willfully blind, and that's fine. Like, I think it's a strategy, and I don't want people to tell him to do something different. I like the fact that this is how Hassan tries to operate. And when people stab him in the back, it's clear they have malicious intent. You know, he's not the one to stab first. That's good. That is good. But at the same time, he also, when people stab you in the back, you need to fight back. Once it's clear that they're malicious, you need to fight back. I believe in extending charity and grace. I believe in seeing the best in people. But when they actually demonstrate clearly and unambiguously they're hostile, you also need to fight back. And I'm glad that he's been doing that. And a lot of people are not used to Hassan doing that. A lot of people are used to Hassan, you know, having hundreds and hundreds of attacks against him that he doesn't respond to. And what happens is it creates a narrative. It creates a bubble where a bunch of people think that all these attacks against Hassan are true because he never speaks out against them. And it creates this narrative that they could just circulate because he's not pushing back at all. And I think that is the part where I'm glad to see him changing his mind. And by the way, if you're a mod or you're a chatter of Hassan, or you're in Discord and you think that, oh, Hassan, you just stop listening to the drama. Motherfucker, they're trying to put people in prison and deport them for the views that we espouse, which is that the Palestinian state has been genocide, and the Palestinian people are suffering genocide at the hands of Israel. You need to wake the fuck up.
Thoughts on her fans calling CPS on Ethan? What the are you talking about, big dog? What an insane assertion. Is that
is the willful blindness you're talking about the essence of Bad Epidota's critique of the YouTube video from last week? Basically Bad Epidota's video, which I've watched, is basically it comes down to a disagreement that we have with him, which is Bad Empanada fundamentally believes that the Western left is useless and is non-existent and will never exist and will never matter, which I understand. I understand that perspective, but I consider that to be a doomer perspective. I consider that to be a pathetic perspective for a Western person to have. All right? Like, I get it. I think the evidence is strong currently that it's true, but I don't think that it has to be true. And so I'm going to keep working to create more space for the left. And fundamentally, what Bad Epidotta says is that when we work with people that are, you know, social liberals or whatever on issues that we agree on, that we're actually laundering social liberalism. And I think that has some merit to it, but I also think it's very untactical, and I think it's very easy for a YouTuber to say, right? And so I just fundamentally disagree on that point, which is I'm going to try to support Bernie Sanders. I'm going to try to support left-wing people in America because I understand this. They're not going to be good, but if they just stop being so bad, that's going to give left-wing movements all around the world space. You know, we don't have to be the international socialist revolutionary state in order to give space for left-wing movements around the world to succeed. All we have to do is stop interfering. And so that's what I'm aiming for as a reasonable step for the imperial core, which is, you know, focus on ourselves, pull back. So he's correct in some elements, but I also think it's unhelpful because if he's right, then nothing changes. But if he's wrong, he's helping sabotage an important front for the left. You know, sometimes there is like a question and it has a binary answer, right? But if the answer is no, you definitely fail. So you need to operate as if the answer is yes. Because if you can't change the outcome between yes or no on that question, and no means failure, then you just need to operate as if it's yes. That's called revolutionary optimism. If it turns out when the human race is finally destroyed by nuclear hellfire that leftism wasn't inevitable, then that's that. But up until the point that that happens, it's an open question. And so as long as I'm alive, I'm going to be pushing for that answer to be yes. And this is fundamentally what separates me from doomers, what separates me from, you know, Maoist third worldists, or people who just, who say things like, labor aristocrat and shit like that unironically. Yeah, this is really disgusting. Live streamer stabbed to death. A woman under 20 was stabbed to death near JR Taka Ada Nobaba station. Okay, we did it. When the police arrived to see, they found her lying on the ground with stab wounds to her head, neck, and chest. She was reportedly broadcasting content to 6,500 viewers at the time of the attack. What? Chat here thinks that change comes in a day. Meanwhile, change is a societal thought process, is a gradual process. Of course it is. Let's say that in 2060, socialism has won worldwide, and we have an international socialist republic in 2060. Human race is unified into one global socialist state. That's 35 years from now. That's a long time, but it's also nothing. So I'm not going to bellyache and cry over a 5-year, 10-year gap. People think change comes in a day because bad change seems to happen overnight, that like abortion going away overnight. Well, I mean, some things can change overnight, and some things can change positively overnight too. Apparently, it wasn't a random hater that watches the stream that streams Snyder, but someone that she borrowed a lot of money from. So that's a tiny bit reassuring. That's not reassuring at all. We'll talk about this in a bit. You're insane. That's, by the way, oh, hey, what's up, man? DJ. Here's one of the things I will say is whenever some tragedy happens, people try to cope, to create distance from themselves and fear. I call this cowardice. Basically, people are like, well, this person died because X, Y, and Z, totally normal thing that everyone does. And see, I just won't do that thing. But abortion going away wasn't overnight. It was 50 years of rabid conservatives preparing and planning and mobilizing. Oh, of course you're correct. Gay boy Gumby. Of course you're correct. Roe v. Wade took decades and decades to finally overturn. Of course you're right. It was a weirdo who donated to her stream and won his money back. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't somebody who lent her money. Get out of here. Also, she didn't borrow. I mean, I don't even know. We don't even know the details. I'm going to stop reading people making comments because it seems like you know what the fuck you're talking about. A key concept for me when I'm feeling doomerism affected me is ask myself, am I friendly Douglas? Given that I'm not, that usually gets me to stop bitching. If you're feeling doomerism is just liberalism plus insecurity in the sense of you don't know what to do. You have this energy and it just does, you're not doing it to anything that like is constructive. When you're feeling like a doomer, I suggest you do something. Get up, clean up your room, get up and sign up for an action with your local DSA or PSL or other progressive group. Get up and do something whenever you're feeling like a doomer. This is Jordan Peterson's most accurate statement. No, he would never actually tell you to do something like that. I saw a clip of you railing against doomerism like a year ago, and it's a reason I came here. Because doomerism is pathetic. Now, yesterday I was feeling doomer because I'm a human being and everybody gets that way. Why was I feeling doomer? Because in a moment where we need everybody who believes in the concept of protest and free speech to unify together and get out on the fucking streets. I don't need you posting about how AOC didn't sign a letter fast enough for you. I need you to get out on the fucking streets. I'm just tired of people thinking that tweeting at AOC is some sort of leftism, you fucking losers. Pathetic. Serbia has been protesting for months? Yes, because protest is not enough. Protest is just a strategy. This is something that liberals have never heard in their lives, so you're about to have your mind blown. Protesting is not enough. It is just a strategy to build awareness. It is a media strategy.
Even something that Ethan has said, I feel like people are now hallucinating positions that I don't even think Ethan Klein is saying. Why in the ever-loving would I ever do that, or even one of my fans will ever do that? He said that? Bro, is there a thing that happens? Is there a thing that happens on the planet to Ethan that I am not responsible for? There is no world in which I would ever entertain that. Okay, that is a psychotic thing, especially because let me tell you why I would never do that. Because I'm not Ethan Klein. Okay, that's right. I would never in a million years entertain such a thing. Never, ever, ever in a million years would I entertain such a thing. It's completely unacceptable. It's completely ridiculous. The fact that people have done that is also insane. I don't know who did it. I don't know what they did. But the notion...
By the way, we don't know this. Nobody knows. Ethan is just making shit up. I think this is very important for everybody to understand. Even if you support Ethan Klein 100%. And I want to say this. I don't think that CPS reports should be done lightly. Okay? But I didn't make them and none of you made them. So we don't know who did it. But I can tell you this right now. Nobody does. Ethan Klein doesn't know who did it. He's just saying shit. He's just saying shit. Shouldn't it bother you that he is abusing this CPS thing and using it against his online enemies with absolutely no evidence at all that they did it? Like, isn't that a bit insane? I mean, he's in litigation with a housekeeper right now. The person who cleaned up his house. How do we know that they didn't do it? We don't. And I'm not saying they did. It's just like, we literally do not know who did it. He's making shit up and tried to say that we did it. There's no evidence for that. So that should show you something. That guy's willing to lie about people just to gain an advantage in an online argument. That's insane. We don't know who did it at all. And every single person, whether it's Denims, myself, Hassan, or a million other people have been like, no one should ever weaponize CPS reports. I mean, it could have come from, we don't even know the facts. We only know what he said online. Which is, he said that his animal had this parasite and then his child got sick. Even his crew believed it in the clip. So, like, what are you guys talking about? Like, just making shit up and then going, like, it's clear they didn't have Geodo. You said it on your own stream. We didn't say it. Thank you for all you do, sir. 2 years ago, I was a Duber Lib Dem, and I'm a CPUSA member that is active in coalitions with several other leftist orgs, and thanks to you and Hasanabi. Oh, no, you joined CPUSA. Solidarity, buddy. Oh, no. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you signed up for the group that the State Department and the feds are the most focused on, like, arresting everybody in. Here's what I would say. It's not that CPUSA is bad. It's just that it's been targeted by the FBI for so long that it's, like, basically super dangerous to join because of that reason. I mean, I'm sure DSA is targeted the same way. It's just not as openly. Same thing with PSL. I'm sure it's targeted the same way. But I do appreciate you for getting in and working. As long as you know that and you're willing to stand up. How do I feel about Indivisible? If you join Indivisible, you'll be the most left-wing person in Indivisible, but you will be with a lot of good people who are libs. Especially like wine moms. So you're going to run into a lot of wine moms and a lot of like really people who hate Republicans. And so you'll have an opportunity to do organizing. So my feeling about Indivisible is it is a bunch of liberals that are ready to be radicalized. As long as you can go in there, be a hard worker and be normal, you might be able to do it. But it's going to be a lot of people that are really to your right. Doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that they're not radicalized. So my feeling is if Indivisible is active in your area and it's not full of like anti-Bernie ideologues, that it's worth going in there and kind of promoting the stuff Bernie's doing right now to stand up to Trump. That's what I would do if I were you, if I had that group. Indivisible is a progressive group that's kind of like the resistance to Trump. Is Green feds, in my opinion? No. I think Greens are people who have figured out a very important fact, which is the Democratic Party is trash, but their politics haven't gotten better yet. So like, it's not that the Greens, and I don't like the national Greens. They seem like grifters to me. It seems like, okay, if you want to hear my honest to God truth belief about the Greens and why I don't support them, it seems to me that the primary goal of the Greens is to get federal matching funds that they can then hand out to all their friends. So they could basically set up their own Democratic Party, influencer machine, like consultant machine, where they can like basically get a bunch of federal matching funds and just hand it out to their friends. It doesn't seem like a real political movement to me. So that's why I've been, and also I think their politics are not good enough. It's like, why, if I'm going to build a third party, why would I build a third party that sucks? It's like, there are Democrats to the left of the Green Party. You know what I mean? It's just like, what's the fucking point? Yemen just banned burgers. That sounds funny.
That like, I would ever entertain that is insane. Okay. What's also crazy about this process is like the only thing I've done so far in terms of Ethan Klein's like many attacks against me, which have obviously backfired on him spectacularly. And that's actually caused him to like double down, triple down, quadruple down in very meaningful ways, including like randomly going after Redditors, trying to get Reddit's unbanned or trying to get Reddit's banned, is that it's pure projection. It's quite literally projection. I have not done a fraction of what he has done to me in return. Like not even a fraction. Do you understand? I've also maintained the position that I think snark Reddits are genuinely not good for people's mental health. This is something that I have talked about before, time and time again. I don't think that I don't think it's a healthy thing to do. Hate watching, especially as someone who personally has a shit ton of hate watchers and content creators who are actively engaging in the hate watching and creating communities around hate watching. I know what that does to a person's mentality. Initially, it was Destiny, who has ruined his own life because of his own decisions. And now Ethan Klein is carrying the torch. If his initial analysis, if his initial argument is like, oh, well, you know, Hassan is doing snark shit to me, which I think is ridiculous, by the way, because the only thing I do is actively defend myself against his many different smears. If that is considered snark, what the is Ethan Klein's subreddit? What the is he doing every single day? He lies about every single thing that I do every day, every time he's broadcasting, including, I guess, but not limited to the fact that he somehow tied back someone engaging in a heinous act of calling Child Protective Services on him to me. Ridiculous. Truly ridiculous. The difference between Ethan and I is that I don't actually have to massage a narrative. He just actively does that to himself. He just like says wrong shit and then I respond to it and I show why it's wrong. With him, on the other hand, he has to literally take something out of context and be like, well, here it is. Here he is doing it again. I don't think I've ever talked about this. No, of course not. Of course I would never talk about any of that shit. I would never talk about his kids. I would never, like, that's ridiculous. I also don't think it's appropriate at all. And I will also personally not entertain like what may or may not have happened either. I don't think it's healthy. Yeah. I don't do calls to action either. He's the only one with calls to action. He actively tries to brigade everything that anytime a journalist has ever written about me, he will post it on his Instagram and be like, go this journalist, like straight up. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. He doesn't say literally to do that. Even he is smart enough to understand that would be a bridge too far. They tried to brigade the Theo Von pod. They tried to brigade the Trash Taste pod. Like every podcast appearance I do, they're like, oh, go tell everybody he loves to do is an insane thing. Go tell everybody he loves when there's a psychotic thing to do. And I think that there has to be some semblance of accountability here in terms of not even like accountability enforced by others, but like you got to take ownership over your own actions. If you keep doing this over and over and over and over again, like, yeah, of course, your own fan base is going.
I'm going to make something that Ethan Klein and his entire crew will never address. They will never address with what I'm about to say. And if they do, it's going to be them going, Mike is the worst. He's just, I hate this guy so much. And signaling to their audience how bad I am, as opposed to making an actual argument. The problem is Ethan Klein thought, because he doesn't know much about politics, that he could just come out in favor of the IDF committing genocide and that progressive young people online were going to go along with it as long as Hassan tells them to. Like that is the essence of what this whole freak out is about. He thinks that Hassan leads everybody online's opinions, and if they just said that Israel wasn't that bad and you should like Ethan, that everybody would like Ethan. And the answer is, Ethan, you dumb unlettered swine, that no, people will not support you because you support Israel's war in Gaza. You support what the IDF is doing. You supported Yoav Gallant. Your wife supports the occupation and settlement of the West Bank, which she was a participant of. That is why people are objecting to what you're saying about the Palestinians. when your wife said that 2-year-olds are trained to kill Jews or whatever insane shit. That is why. And you could try all you want to attack Hassan, but all that's going to happen is, and here's what you don't realize, is that everybody agrees with Hassan's takes. He was actually being gentle with you. He was actually trying to help you and being like, hey, man, maybe you shouldn't just talk about this stuff, because if you do, people are going to think that you're a Zionist. He was trying to help you and protect you from yourself. The reason why people are turning away from you is not because of Hassan, but because of what you believe, and they don't agree with it. People that are left of center, Democrats, do not agree with you. You cannot be a progressive pro-genocide Zionist. It's not something that actually works. And I know that Destiny is somebody that convinced you that that is a viable position because you saw him online. And so you immediately glommed on to Destiny as a replacement for Hassan. But guess what? You picked wrong, bitch. He doesn't actually represent anything. He doesn't represent a movement within politics. He is a small, very small, snark content creator against Hassan. There is no there. There is no political movement backing Destiny. There is no great mass of young people that are pro-Zionists. Progressives, it's not a thing. And so you're going to continue to isolate yourself. You're going to continue to find yourself alienated from anyone who's left of center. And so what you're going to end up doing, and which is already happening, is you're going to polarize yourself to the right. So might as well just do it. Do your why I left the left and be a Trump supporter already. What's taking so fucking long? What are you like? Why do you? We don't need to spend the next 2 years with you fucking whining, complaining, and then when the Democrats nominate someone who's mildly progressive, you'd have your crash out. Just have your crash out now. Go be your fucking Trump supporting Asmongold ally now. Just get it over with, man. So everybody, like, you're not confusing anybody. The crash out is ridiculous. Just fucking do it already. What the fuck is snark? Basically, snark is a description of communities that are focused on being anti a content creator. So the organizing principle of a snark community is to attack someone. It's basically haters. And sometimes these hater communities produce like a figurehead. Like, for example, Destiny was a figurehead of the Hassan snark, right? So if you're anti-Hassan and you're anti-Bernie, then you would be attracted to the Destiny community, which is why Destiny has so many Nazis in his community. Because Nazis, the thing about Nazis is they're ideologically aware, and they understand that liberals are not a threat. Liberals, are, in fact, are going to create the space for them to thrive. Nazis understand that it's only the left that is a true opposition to them. And so they will frequently join in with liberals whenever they're having any kind of fight with leftists. And that's, you know, and the number one like, if you get death threats from the H3, they're almost always from people that are far right. You rarely get, there's very few normie ride or dies for Ethan Klein. Probably a handful, maybe like 5 or 10. But most of them are either forward Destiny viewers, or they are Nazis who are just using this opportunistically to get attacks against Hassan. That's about it. How do I know? Because I've been dealing with these people for a very long time, so I know exactly.
Your own family is going to develop resentment towards.
Here's what I believe. I believe that CPS visited Ethan. What I don't believe is he has any evidence to understand who it is. He just started throwing out attacks against people he was already attacking. And it may have absolutely nothing to do with any of these communities. I've seen no evidence whatsoever outside of people reacting to, you know, the idea that his animals were shitting all over the house. That's the only thing I've seen people react. And his own post on his own comments on his own stream. I have not seen anybody. I never called for it. Hassan never called for it. As far as I know, Denims never called for it. So I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, right? And there's no evidence that any of these communities did that. All that we know is a clip surfaced of him saying that his baby had a parasite that his dog had, and his crew believed it at the time. So it seemed very, very valid of a complaint. But as far as anybody complaining, I have no evidence that any of us did it. And I don't think Ethan knows who did it. So the fact that he's using this shows that he's bad faith right off the bat. And honestly, it's sickening. Like, I feel bad for the guy that he's under scrutiny from Child Protective Services, and I would never wish that on anyone who was innocent. But I had nothing to do with it, and it's very suspect that you would try to blame me or any of us for that. Stigtomo, read the room, bro.
You, especially if you're in the process of like banning anyone who speaks out against it. Here, October 21st, 2024, proof you've never supported Snark subreddits.
Snark is not insane, though. No, dude. Anyone that is that invested in a content creator is not all there. I'm sorry. You might have been a foot soldier at a certain point, and now you hate Ethan.
Okay, so no wonder he likes Asmongold.
We're talking about scent attracting flies.
Do you want to read?
You're talking about scent. If you want to,
do you want to maybe read this?
But
if you're,
when I got here and I was saying I don't see any flies, I heard some of you guys saying it's here. We're in the control room.
Weird.
It's
I don't
everywhere.
leave fruit in your control room.
It's literally everywhere.
Not anywhere
in the
near my
office.
fruit. Wouldn't they be on my fruit?
Oh my god! I can't believe we've been debating this.
Show
read the Reddit post.
All right, you made me do this, Ethan.
Show
Oh
it.
God.
You made me do this.
What
I'm putting
do
it
we
in
Do you
the
see
store.
any flies around my fruit?
I don't think it's just like, oh, I put
Play this with
fruit
no
here, and flies can only exist right where the fruit
They
used
will
to
be.
be.
They
where
would be
the fruit
attracted
is.
to the fruit. But you think, if you're talking about odors, that trash can is so putrid you can't even sit next to it, bro.
Can you open?
Okay, a couple things here. First of all, actually, flies will not be immediately attracted to very fresh fruit. They're attracted to odors of rot, right? Because that's what generates the volatiles for their sensors to sense. So flies are not, like, if you just cut a banana outside, flies are not going to fly to it. But if you leave a banana outside for days and it rots, then the flies will show up because they're attracted to the volatiles that are given off by the rot. The rot being done by the microbes and fungi that are in the air, right? So, you know, I thought most of us knew this. This is kind of something you learn in middle school. But I'm not really sure how an adult doesn't understand that. But fruit flies can be attracted to sugar, yes. But they're more attracted to vinegar, actually. If you've ever had a fruit fly infestation, you know that the best way to get rid of them is actually vinegar. And vinegar is what? Vinegar is fermented product. So they will be much more attracted to the vinegar than they will be to, say, like your bananas, right? So you're just really agreeing with me.
But it doesn't matter that there's a lid. What do you want me to do?
In the Discord, open the video I sent.
You want me to open a video
No
that's
audio
going to
is
destroy me? I'm not going to
because I
open
didn't
that.
edit it. I don't remember what I said.
You're asking me to dig my own grave? Discord's not open, so hold on one sec. You know, I mean, come on, you guys. Let's be fair here. If you're talking about scent attracting animals, you could start with this stinky ass can. All right, what is this? You got to drive?
The top thing.
Okay, here it is.
So this is after we recorded on the day where we had the debate about the flies.
Okay, go ahead.
There's some little gnats right there that just hopped out of the doggy bowls. Another factor that I forgot to...
Yeah, we didn't even bring up the dog food that's left out for like weeks at a time.
Okay, that I accept. That I accept.
That is in the control room.
That I accept more than the
It's because I'm leaving Ethan alone here. You guys don't understand.
I do need care.
In Ethan's defense, it's not all...
He's without his care.
I do.
Does AB ever go 5 seconds without immediately gawking on Ethan, even when we were talking about the most disgusting shit? Is there every 5 seconds before AB jumps in with the in Ethan's defense? Like, for fuck's sake, can you just be quiet for 5 seconds? Jesus Christ. Ethan Klein didn't get defended for 2 seconds. AB is here.
Feel that it's not, dude. But that's my point. You see flies. I never see flies on the fruit. I'll leave it here the whole episode. You won't see one fly. Here, you can see it.
To also back up AB's point, you know, to be fair.
Oh, I get no support.
Hold on.
No support.
I love Shredder and Alfredo. I do, but I've stepped in their shit multiple times.
You did.
Multiple times.
And Zach's like a titan. Like, he doesn't see what's down there, so he'll be walking.
All right, listen, as I said before, I'm not saying that people should be calling Child Protective Services because I don't know, right? And, you know, I am not involved, and I would never do that. I would never call for people to do that unless I knew. Honestly, if I knew that some children were needed to be protected, then I would step in. But I don't know Ethan Klein, So why would I do this? This makes no sense. And nobody in this community has advocated for that. That being said, I find it odd that Ethan is trying to weaponize this and use it to attack others when he's admitted it multiple times on his stream that there is filth and waste and rotten food and dog shit and all sorts of stuff all around the studio. It's not like maybe a former housekeeper that you were engaged in, litigation with. I'm not saying they did it. It's just crazy to wildly throw it at Hassan or Denims or me as if it was us without knowing who it is, or the doctor that diagnosed people with the diseases that they have. It just seems odd. What is wrong with that rug? Ew.
And for about 30 steps before he realizes.
How many times do we get poop inside? What's going on here?
Almost every day that they're here.
No, not every day.
It was a delivery guy. He stepped in shit.
But
Holy shit.
Oh my God.
I stepped in shit and tracked it all over.
In Ethan's defense, he's always the first one to clean it. He doesn't.
Well, yeah, of course he cleans it when he sees it, but they poop over in the corner. Nobody sees it for
can
hours.
You come up with a schedule where someone walks them if you're recording for like a few hours?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And also, this is just funny. I'm not even. Alfredo pissed on my computer bag one time.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all.
Zach would never be mad.
God damn, dude. If I went to Hassan's house and Kaya pissed on my shit, I would be mad. I would be like, what the fuck, man? Like, don't neglect her like that. Like, what the fuck? But he never would. That's the thing. Hassan takes his responsibility as a pet owner seriously. He trades his dog. His dog is very intelligent. His dog is very well cared for. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He invites, just pee on him all the time.
But I feel, guys,
he's the golden boy.
I understand. Listen, okay, let me read this. As a pest control technician, I can tell you, blah, 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 you're attracting flies with fruit and dog poop. Okay, the dog poop I'll give you. Some tips I can recommend. Obviously, remove or cover fruit once done. But obviously, don't leave dog poop on the ground. I mean, that's obvious. Does he? I'm
People
curious.
must think that it's so awful here now.
It's not.
There's like flies and poop everywhere.
No, it's a very.
I feel like Dan is very sensitive to flies. Like he's walking around with like a bug assault. He's got a.
I went on a spree this morning. That's probably part of why you're not seeing it. I killed many flies this morning.
You're silent. I respect your opinion. What do you think?
Well, I was trying to eat oatmeal earlier today, literally where I'm sitting right now, and I had to move because gnats kept coming and trying to get in my oatmeal.
Is it possible they're coming from the kitchen? You know what I'm saying?
Well, they get attracted by the open fruit in the poop. And then they lay eggs in the drain. This guy explains it all. This is a pest control guy. He knows what he's talking about.
But wait, the food was left one time.
No, Hila.
They have one photo.
We took a photo because we decided to confront. This is an ongoing.
Okay, hold on.
Check the link.
You're saying that all outside this huge building, there's fruit, there's flies all in the world, right? They're flying around. They're flying around. And then people don't understand how big this building is. And then they're outside a closed building, and they go, oh, Ethan left a...
He's actually subnormal intelligence. Like, this guy is like 80 intelligence. Like, 80 IQ. Like, like, legitimately, he's one of the dumbest people I've ever seen. I mean, I guess this is how disgusting, filthy people think. But the answer is yes. If you leave trash and waste to rot, they will be attracted. Flies will be attracted. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Ethan left a Tupperware fruit. Let's all invade. Instead of, by the way, the garbage can that Olivia has admitted stunk so fucking bad.
Which is closed.
Even when it was closed, that she had to literally move. That happened to me as well. Let me smell this. It doesn't. The smell is
if
small.
you leave it open,
I agree.
Overnight,
it contributes.
It does attract flies.
It does. But like, how much does this having to move because something smells so bad?
I'm gonna be the 40-year-old middle-aged man and say that if you have a trash can that smells, stop what you're doing right now. Take out the trash and clean the trash can. Like, wash the trash can. Your outside trash can should not be like that, let alone ones inside your house. Like, trash can doesn't mean, oh, this is a thing that just stinks and is disgusting. No, you're supposed to put your trash in trash bags, and you need to ensure there's no leaks. That's called being a civilized human being. Why? Because you attract pests. And then you can get mouse infestations and rat infestations, and you can get flies and fruit flies that will terrorize you even if you're relatively clean. You'll get roaches. You need to dispose of your waste properly, you fucking moron. Jesus Christ.
I can't smell the fruit from
This isn't even comedy. This is a bunch of harried office workers that are surrounded by waste and rot and dog shit and filth, being surrounded by flies and having to confront him publicly so they don't get like attacked by a narcissistic meltdown off the air. So they're turning it into a bit so they can get away with confronting their boss, who's disgusting.
I sent a link of the very first episode of Off the Rails in this office.
Are you serious?
This
More
what happens
receipts,
because
bro?
I'm not here. You get that?
Check the timestamp.
Ethan.
It's like, I'm not here. It's not me. This is, again, narcissistic protection, by the way. So she wants to divert all the idea that H3 is disgusting onto Ethan, throwing him under the bus by being like, no, I never saw this. I had no idea. This is what something narcissists like to do. They always try to displace blame.
All right, we'll talk about this.
What, I'm gonna get yelled at from you now? How many people are gonna grill me on this fruit
I was
issue?
telling Ethan just a few days ago that he needs an assistant.
You someone just to follow you around and
Yes.
pick up your trash.
He needs a care.
And because you're packing on those. Oh, one fly. Good job. You found. How did you find that? How did you find that?
Somebody send you that?
I found Reddit. What the hell? People are so wild. Okay, you found the
Episode
fly.
1,
Great job.
Surrounded by flies. Episode 1.
And you guys coming home with like bites on you and stuff? You know,
Oh,
and these
God.
flies, you know?
It's a very beautiful office. There's sometimes some poops. That's
Do you have that picture that after I think it was a few days ago that Cam sent?
This is why they hired Lita to be his assistant. Oh, this is why people don't like rich people. Like, legitimately, I think it creates moral turpitude and moral like rot when you can't even clean up after yourself. Like, the idea that somebody should clean up after you all the time is morally depraved. I don't care if I had $1 billion. I wouldn't act like this. I would still like rinse out my coffee cup and put it in the dishwasher. Like, I wouldn't be such a disgusting sack of shit that I wouldn't ever clean up. You know, if I ate a sandwich, I would place the detritus in a trash can. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. This is insane.
Cam sends a lot of pictures.
What are you talking about?
The one after AB cleaned up.
Oh. I'll try and find it.
Dan's on the case.
All right, come on, you guys. Enough.
I can't believe you're doubling down on this.
I think
you got roasted so hard in the comments in the last
I
episode.
acknowledge, but I'm just saying, like, you guys are next to the kitchen and a trash can that stinks so bad people have to move seats. You don't think that's contributing to fly?
Well,
it definitely is.
It's not just
before
Ethan.
it used to be an open trash can, but it was changed to one with the lid.
The stink is when the lid was closed. I'm talking about a closed lid stink here.
It's hard for you to make an argument when there's
I saw
poop
that.
apparently in the office and the fruit. I thought this happened one day.
It may have happened more than once. But again, like, okay, but like, leave this out. You won't. I'll show. There will be no flies.
Flies
You guys
come
see-
to fruit. They do.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying, like, here, you guys tell me if there's a fly during the course of the show. If you see a fly attracted to this fruit,
all right,
you tell me, and then people can see for themselves that this is fly repellent fruit. This is special fruit.
How many adults are there that trash can remains full and reeking? Like, I honest to God, I don't, like, I get it. If you're in the office and somebody else's trash is in the trash can and you don't want to take it out because it's not your stuff, you know, it's not your rotten food or whatever, and you're like, fuck this, I don't want to take this out. Like, I get that. I honest to God, I get that. However, when it gets to the point where it's like rotting and attracting fucking flies. Also, if I was in an office and the dogs were shitting everywhere, I would be pretty pissed. I wouldn't want to be cleaning up the dog poop either. I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you. Like, I get why the crew was like, this is bullshit. It's not, you know, what the fuck. However, at a certain point, this conversation needs to have happened earlier. And I mean, I don't want to go after them too hard because, like, you know, Ethan Klein does seem very fragile. He does seem like somebody who fires you if you ever stand up to him. So it looks like they had to, like, kind of all come together, gather receipts, and then do it on the air in order to, like, successfully do it. But god damn, that's pathetic.
Genetically modified.
Uh-huh.
All right, enough. Well, what do the comments say? Are they?
They're saying that you're with peace and love. You're wrong. They're saying, Ethan, take accountability.
I take accountability. I gotta stop with the fruit. But I'm just saying. Olive has Giardia, which is a bacterial infection in the intestines that makes you have diarrhea.
And Olive has this?
Olive has this. Yeah, she came to us with it.
Okay.
She had diarrhea. Sonny's crawling around. He's putting everything in his mouth. He's at that age. He has Giardia.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so he outright said that his child has it. He outright said his child has it. I like, at a certain point, I don't know what to say. It's not, again, no one from here called CPS. Hassan didn't call CPS. Denims didn't call CPS. None of us, as far as I'm aware, said you should call CPS. So I'm not sure why we're getting blamed. All I know is I'm seeing a video of him saying that his child caught a parasite from his dog. That's all I'm seeing.
Oh,
And now Ela has Giardia.
Shut. For real?
What can I do to not get it from you?
I'm trying
to...
Because I'm not trying to get
Can
it.
we crank the AC, maybe?
Is it?
It's extremely ridiculous to get. You have to ingest my poop.
Olive has Giardia and diarrhea. Sonny crawls around, puts everything in his mouth, plus he has Giardia, plus Giardia is extremely ridiculous to get. You have to ingest my poop, equal question mark, question. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, again, I haven't seen this happen. I just know it was said by Ethan. So I don't understand why Denims is getting any amount of pushback. She had nothing to do with this being said on a stream that has thousands of viewers. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Now, he never directly says that his child. What is wrong? Oh my god! What is? What is this white splotch here? What is that, bro? I mean, like, listen. I don't know why CPS is doing a follow-up. I didn't call CPS. All we know is from Ethan. It seems okay. I'm going to say the most wild thing. It seems to me that there's no evidence that Hassan, Denims, or I had anything to do with CPS being called. None of us called for that to happen. All we know is that someone from Ethan, he says somebody he knew called CPS, and CPS came, and now they're doing like follow-ups. That's all we know. That's from so is he just trying to divert this to us as a way of like flipping the script? Like, is he just trying to divert the blame to us who had nothing to do with it? What, it could have been a mandated reporter like a doctor. It could have been the housekeeper that is suing him for not paying minimum wage and firing her for needing hernia surgery. Like, there's so many other people it could be. Why is he blaming Hassan and myself and Denims? It just doesn't make sense.
This guy is.
It's a glorious day. Ethan Klein is streaming about me again. First, he dedicates 30 minutes of his failing podcast to me. Then he literally makes a main channel, H3 Productions video about me. And now he's doing a podcast about me again. This guy is...
Guys, I want to make sure that everybody is subscribed. Make sure that you subscribe to Bad Empanada. He is a, I don't agree with everything he says, but... and whenever, I'll try my best to correct the information, but I do think that it's important that he be recognized as somebody who is... Ethan Klein refuses to watch his videos and refuses to address his criticisms. And that was a big argument that Ethan made about Hassan. Like, Hassan watched the video. Hassan watched the nuke. Now Bad Empanada watched the entire nuke and debunked it, right? Like, on his main channel. Oh, fuck. I went to on his main channel. He watched the entire content nuke. 4 hours and 26 minutes. Just a complete response of the content nuke. So this is something. So Bad Empanada has shown good faith to Ethan Klein. by watching his video unabridged and fully debunking it. Now, if you have 4 hours and 26 minutes to watch that, that's crazy. I couldn't even do it over multiple attempts. The Ethan Klein shit was so boring and so poorly researched, I just couldn't even get through it. To be charitable, could I just add that it's very easy to get Giardia from your pets if you don't know they have Giardia? It's spread through fecal oral ingestion, but it's microscopic parasite. The microscopic Giardia cyst could get into a pet's coat. So you can pet your dog and then touch your mouth and get it. Pets get it from drinking contaminated water like rain puddles. I've worked in veterinary medicine for 15 years. Yeah, oh, of course. I don't think catching the disease isn't in and of itself sign that you neglected the kid. Sometimes kids get diseases randomly because that's kids. You know, it is what it is. What makes you neglectful is if you have like large amounts of animal waste and rotten food just strewn about, right? Like if you don't bathe your children, if you don't like wash their clothes, if you don't make sure they're getting a good, you know, healthy, wholesome food, and they're not getting a good sleep schedule, and they're not being talked to and interacted with, like that's what makes you neglectful as a parent, right? It's not just that they got sick the one time, right? You know, unless you don't take them to get the necessary medical care, then you are neglecting, right? Ethan is the one who said you had to eat shit to get it. Yeah, I mean, it's weird for him to say something and then be like, I can't believe you listened to me. Like, this is the thing about Ethan Klein. He wants to be taken seriously, but whenever he's taken seriously, he starts crying that you're taking him seriously. It's like, pick a lane. Are you the just happy-go-lucky, don't take me serious comedian guy who's just trying to be funny? Or are you the very serious political commentator guy who should be listened to? Like, which one is it?
Unwell. And I almost feel bad, but he's a Zionist, so I don't. We're gonna milk him even more. Poopy Ethan Klein. Poopy bumhole Ethan Klein. Poo everywhere, Ethan. Poopy Ethan. I can't wait for this.
I mean, like, before I would have disagreed, but then I saw those clips of the crew saying there was dog shit everywhere and that there's so much dog shit they accidentally step in it. And what's that one guy, the one chubby guy? He said he tracked it everywhere. What's that guy's name? I only know Dan and AB. I don't know anybody else's name. Zach? Yeah, Zach said that there was so much shit that he was attracting flies that he stepped in it and tracked it all over the ground.
This is gonna be...
Bad Empanada is too much for me. He's a fucking attack dog. Listen, these people literally want me to kill myself. Like Destiny has said that he wants me and Hassan to kill ourselves. They have actually doxed us. They have, you know, talked about my mother. Like, these are the, like, you're telling me that that Bad Empanada is an attack dog? The only thing Bad Empanada has said has been directly stuff that Ethan has said openly. He hasn't gone and done research. He hasn't set up an opposition research Reddit or Wikipedia. Like, he is not an attack dog. He's just arguing the points as they make the points. Like, if you think this is an attack dog, you've never seen an attack dog.
Be awesome. All because he can't respond on the actual issue of Israel-Palestine. So all that he knows how to do is to try and frame himself as the victim of like this
all right, hold on, chat. Okay, this is the one. All right.
Incredible conspiracy that I am now apparently at the head of. And I'm like an international criminal. I have like 1 billion criminal charges against me and all this stuff. All because he can't deal with what I say when I refuted him. Incredible. No crash out this bad has ever happened. Amazing. This is going to be juicy. I'm genuinely stoked. Every time this dumbass goes live, he loses like 5,000 subscribers and I gain a ton of money off him. Every single time he does this, it just goes horribly for him. This man is unwell and I should probably feel bad about like benefiting from his absurd breakdown, but I don't. I'm sorry. Poopy Ethan Klein. This is why I don't believe the CPS thing as well, because if CPS is actually investigating his family and he's going live and he's like twitching like he's on drugs and screeching about how it's all a conspiracy, and Reddit and Twitch are after him, and some guy named Bad Empanada is also after him, and like he's the leader of this whole conspiracy, how would that look for the CPS investigation? He's surely not dumb enough to not realize they're looking at his online shit now. They know who he is, obviously. In the first place, they're investigating him because, again, I will play the clip. He fucking said on his own stream, just out there in public, that his kid had caught a parasite and that apparently his house was dirty enough that for him, he believed this parasite was caught through eating shit. I don't know why he just leaves this shit there on his channel. It just counteracts his entire narrative. We'll just play this for good measure again. I'm sure you've all seen it 1,000 times before. And then we'll go to Ethan and Klein fucking trying to paint me as like an international criminal. Again, amazing.
One part of it. The next part is...
What's the next?
That Olive has Giardia.
Oh, this was from less than a month ago? This is from less than a month ago? I really don't watch H3 because why would you? Like, legitimately, I don't know why people watch H3. They're not funny. Like, what's their funniest clip? Like, I've never seen a funny clip from their show. They're not intelligent. Like, they don't know anything about... So they talk about, like, current affairs, but why would you care? They chat GPT their talking points. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, why would you? Being edgy? I can be edgy on my own. Like, what? This is like the equivalent of drawing a picture of boobs to jerk off to. Like, that's what H3 is show is. It's the equivalent of people who draw pictures of boobs to jerk off to. Like, legitimately, it has no juice. It's not funny. They're not intelligent. And he's a whiny bitch.
Bad Hasbara. He's like, look at these guys, brigade them.
That's why he's Dan.
This is what Ethan Klein does. He just tells you to go and harass people. This is the Go and Harass This Guy podcast. It's like group harassment session.
I mean, like, honestly, honest and true, like, I think what Ethan Klein is used to is, Ethan Klein, I want to give you a piece of advice. You need to get out of the political content creators. We're not good people to try to harass. Like, we are the most hardened content creators on the internet. You're never going to scare me or Denims or Badapanada or Hassan off the internet. It's literally not possible. We're political Andes who fight against the far right. Like, you can't do like, what are you doing, man? It's like, what? You're used to going after makeup content creators or whatever. You're used to going after, you know, young mothers, okay, who talk about makeup. Those are the people that you could intimidate. You're not going to intimidate us, which is why he's melting down. Because usually people, like, they get sent a couple death threats and they fold. But, like, you're talking about us, man. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, what, are you okay? We're socialists in America. We're used to death threats. We're used to being attacked by unhinged psychos. Your fan base, like, we've been, like, Destiny has been harassing me for 6 years. Destiny started harassing me when I had 200 average viewers. 200. He got PewDiePie to join in. Like, what do you mean? You're nothing. You ain't shit. It's crazy. It's crazy that you think you can harass us. Like, you're never going to be able to do it. You're never going to be able to do it. It doesn't matter. And guess what? I laughed at PewDiePie, and PewDiePie watched it and said, oh, this guy actually handled it pretty well. What are you guys going to do? What are you guys going to do? Like, compare yourself to the shit that, and by the way, it was all made up. You're using the same shit that Destiny made up about me, which was fake 6 years ago, to try to harass me now. Like, come on, man. Come the fuck on.
It's amazing, right? What great content. This is for people who, like, want a truly...
The old lore doesn't even matter. It literally doesn't matter. It's the same exact shit that Ethan says. It's the same exact shit that Ethan says. And guess what? It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. If Ethan, if you want to be the harass podcast or whatever you are, now that you have a shield from YouTube to never get in trouble for breaking TOS, you should go find someone who's not used to being attacked. Which is, do you think a politician and political organizers are not used to being attacked? Like, what's in his mind? I honest to God don't understand what he's talking about. Like, legitimately.
Interactive stream. Like, every 5 minutes, Ethan Klein is directing you to go and send messages to a new person, or their mother, or their underage daughter. You never know who it could be. Spin the fucking wheel. Who is Ethan going to tell you to send death threats to today? You never know. That's what this is. It's like a truly interactive streaming experience. I get it now. I get it now. Ethan Klein is a pioneer. He's pioneering like collaborative live doxing. I understand what the appeal is. I just realized it. That's it. That's what it is. It's just go harass this guy. Look at this guy's Facebook. Look at his mother. Look at his 16-year-old sister.
And by the way, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I can't believe someone called CPS on Ethan. And it's like, we don't know who did it. All we know is that CPS was called. It may have been nothing to do with the internet. What is Ethan Klein's evidence that it had anything to do with people on the internet? And it wasn't his pediatrician. It wasn't his former housekeeper. It wasn't a member of his staff. It wasn't a delivery guy who dropped something off. How do you know it was anybody from the internet? What's the source of your evidence? You're throwing out accusations that are defamatory to try to make yourself into a victim. How do you know it was us?
Send messages to them. Tell them what's what.
He originally claimed CPS said it was somebody in his personal life. Can you give me the links to that? Because people have said that, and I don't want to believe you unless I have the receipts. When are you going to get started H3H3 type show, but with someone else, obviously? Why the fuck would I want to do that? Honestly, we don't even know if CPS was called. Just his. I think he had a business card, right? I heard that. Again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Look at these guys. Look at that podcast. Leave negative comments here now. This podcast had Hassan Piker on. Negative comments now, fans. Go, go, go. He's figured out how to make streaming truly interactive. It's like Twitch plays Pokemon for 2025. Great work, Ethan.
Yeah.
Great moves. Good job. Proud of you. Incredible.
He had an episode recently, 2 weeks ago, with Hassan called "Do You Condemn Hassan? Like, do you condemn?"
They
Hamas?
talk to Hassan. Even more reasons to attack them, dude. Great work.
He supports Hamas. Here it is. I just want to show you the beginning of this. Yeah. By the way, Bad Hezbollah, he has a podcast where he just solely shits on Israelis. That's what Bad Hezbollah is. It's like a meme.
Hezbollah is a meme.
Means propaganda.
Hezbollah
it's like
means
a weird
explaining.
slur that people started picking up, calling just like Hezbollah means like a lying Jew, essentially. It's become
Oh my God, this guy Hezbollah is literally a term directly used by the Israeli state for their propaganda. Like, if you go to the first result on Google, Wikipedia for Hezbollah, the contemporary term Hezbollah was introduced by Nahum Sokolov, an Israeli Zionist.
That's the thing about Ethan Klein and his audience. Like, in order to be an Ethan Klein audience member, you have to be one of two types of people. You have to either trust Ethan Klein so implicitly and also never double check anything he says, right? So you have to just trust Ethan Klein implicitly and never check. Or two, you just literally don't care and you're there to do damage, right? Like, you don't care, like, you just enjoy the process of lying and tricking people in a sadistic way. Those are the only two ways you could be. That's the only way you could be a fan of Ethan. You become a fallen fan because maybe you stumble in because you thought Vape Nash was funny, 10 years ago, and you start watching him and you get some comedy, but then he says something. He finally stumbles on something that you understand or you know about, and he's like, oh, this guy's a fucking moron. Where the opposite happens for me, right? This is what's really interesting about my stream. Is I'll talk about something new that I've never talked about. And then everybody who's in that field will be like in the chat going, Mike's right about that. Wow, I can't believe Mike understands this much about X, Y, and Z. And it's like, because I don't talk about shit without knowing about shit. The only time I've done that, they literally showed the clip on H3, which 5 minutes later, I corrected myself. But they didn't show me correcting myself. I mean, it's an incredible thing. And also, like, Ethan Klein, like, dude, I legitimately am not going to be fake to your face and say that I want you to be happy. I don't want you to be happy. Like, you are a mediocrity. You are a bad person. You are a person full of personality disorders, and you need help. And the world would be better if you just retired from making content. Like, this is obviously my personal opinion. And it is what it is, right? Like, all you do is you go around and exploit people and you take advantage of people and you bully people from a position of power that you got through random chance.
Which is it's a bacterial infection in the intestines that makes you have diarrhea.
And Olive has this?
Don't you hate it when you get defamed by people making fun of you based on exactly what you fucking said on your podcast yourself?
Olive has this, yeah. She came to us with it.
Okay.
She had diarrhea. And
oh, poor baby.
Ducky came to us with that too. And I just wonder why.
Like an Israeli.
It's relative.
I have had I've had like 4 dogs in my life, and they never had this disease ever. Am I crazy that this disease is super rare, or at least like not super common? How is every dog he has this disease? It's what happens when you buy your dogs from random breeders.
It should be. They should have found it already. But anyway,
okay, that
so she has Giardia, so we have her on an antibiotic, but we had to wait until Monday, which is today. We just got it today, and well, Sonny's crawling around. He's putting everything in his mouth. He's at that age. He has Giardia.
Oh shit.
Oh.
And now Ela has Giardia.
Shut. For real?
And now
imagine being a CPS officer watching this. Imagine being Ethan Klein and having CPS take concern about your children because of this clip, and you blame everyone but yourself for it. Because the problem here is the state of your house that caused this to happen. Nothing else.
I think this morning I had diarrhea.
Oh my god.
What can I do to not get it? From
Yeah, I'm
you?
trying
because I'm not trying to get.
Can we crank the AC maybe?
Is it?
It's extremely ridiculous to get. You have to ingest my poop. Are you planning on that?
There you go. Like, no one has to say anything. He says
that there's dog shit everywhere, that Sonny is eating shit and getting Giardia, and that, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, the dog shit everywhere. We know you guys all agreed that was happening. The Giardia, the eating dog shit. I don't think you said that. I don't think anybody said that out loud, but it was an inference that it was a deduction that people made because you said they had it and it's really hard to get. So somebody believed you, which obviously they shouldn't believe you about anything. You're a fucking idiot. But the dog shit being everywhere was you guys.
And well, it culminated in somebody finally an anonymous call went into them on the 3rd. Saying that they were somebody that works at the house, and they wanted to report us because our kids are crawling around eating dog shit and getting viruses. And they were able to provide enough details because of what I said on the show to make it appear that it was somebody. He said, like, when he first showed up, he's like, it's somebody that you know who made the report. And I'm like, no, okay. So, I mean.
So how does this have anything to do with us? I have no idea what he's talking about. Nobody in my audience said call CPS. Or if they did, I didn't see it. I didn't say it. Denims, as far as I know, never actually advocated for it. Maybe somebody in chat said something. But when you have thousands of people in your chat, somebody says something that's not a slur or not cursing or is not like illegal threats, it typically doesn't get moderated unless you notice it and it pisses you off. That's just the way chats go. So to try to search through a chat to try to find something to pin on us is pathetic bullshit. So what you're saying is the CPS guy said that it was somebody you know, and you say that's not true, and you're just inventing an argument that somebody online did it. This guy is such a liar.
I mean, they used. I mean, yeah, you could easily impersonate.
What's? Oh, sorry.
So they don't have any evidence that anybody, like, it could have been somebody in the staff for all we know. Maybe AB had it, and it was tired of all the flies. I don't know, man. Like, what is the evidence that it was anybody? I didn't do it. I know that I didn't do it. I know that Denims didn't do it. I know that Hassan didn't do it. So what's his evidence that it was any of us?
Go ahead.
What's truly, despicable to me is the fact that, you hear so often that CPS, that they're not always.
They're underfunded.
Yes, and also it always seeps through the cracks for some reason.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they were so on it here, it's like that could have gone to a family that really.
Or maybe CPS is not as. Maybe the CPS isn't the disgusting failure organization that you think, and they take seriously reports they get that seem credible. That seems like a good thing, right? The fact that they were willing to go to a Beverly Hills mansion to check on kids, that makes me feel good, actually. It makes me feel happy that the state of California has funded CPS to the point where they go and check out Hollywood mansions, or Beverly Hills mansions, excuse me, and make sure the children are being cared for. That's a good thing. Now, it's not a good thing that somebody was, if they were sent there as like an advanced form of swatting or doxing. I'm totally against that. But we don't even know that that's what happened.
Needed it, and a child that really needed to be saved. Like
I was pretty surprised. I mean, one anonymous call. I was like, that's all it takes. But I guess the thing is, he was like, it seemed we thought it was someone who.
I can't imagine
you know.
how scary.
The guy was very nice. He was a very professional, a nice young guy, very nice. At first.
Yeah, CPS is an incredibly difficult job and an incredibly important job. And you need people of discernment and you need people of empathy and intelligence. It's a very tough job to be in CPS. It's honestly insane. They should get paid more.
He's not from our world. He doesn't understand. And I try to explain, like, this is part of this harassment campaign. We've been visited by the FBI. We've been swatted, this and that. And we talked for a while. He gets it. But there's certain things that I guess he has to do. So he looked all. I mean, you walked around with him. I was upset about the whole thing.
Well, yeah, I was very upset as well.
He
wanted to look at everything.
Well, the house is spotless.
He was checking the house and like, where do the dogs go potty? Because we heard that there's poop on the floor.
The house is spotless.
Our house is so clean.
And also we literally installed this huge outdoor, I don't know how you call it. It's like a huge outdoor area connected to a doggy door.
Yeah, because we live in an area where there are coyotes, and we did fence our house like really well. They don't really get in the backyard, but for our own peace of mind, we wouldn't let the dogs out unsupervised.
Hell no, in the middle of the night, especially if we're
especially in the middle of the night. So we set up a doggy door for them that once you exit it, you are in a totally enclosed, like a huge cage. It's not like a small cage. It's like a room.
Yeah, it's called a kennel. I'm glad they have the resources for that. But it seems to be like, again, I don't know what else to say. There's no evidence. It's just weird to try to displace that onto other people with no evidence they had anything to do with it. Making fun of his tics isn't cute. Yeah, I don't make fun of his tics. I don't know what's wrong. I mean, Ethan seems to have them more lately. I don't know if it's stress or what, but I don't think making fun of his tics is any sign. You know, what I would advise Ethan Klein to do is to just stop talking about politics. That's what I would suggest. Just stop talking about Hassan and myself and Denims. Like that's what I would suggest, and then see, and just go back to focusing on farting at Denny's and how many flies are in the office. Whatever the content normally is.
Himself, it's right fucking there. Exactly what I said is what he said. I'm citing him, the man himself. I'll keep saying it too. Ethan Klein, poopy Ethan Klein. He has a long fucking history of poop fetish, by the way. It's so fucking bizarre. You could make an entire compilation about it. Someone else should. I'm not going to, though. I don't make streamer compilations. So let's check out what he had to say about me on the podcast. Fuck yes! I hope it's longer than 20 minutes this time. My war against snark. Why is there like a blue-haired person in the middle there? Who the fuck even is that?
It's because he's doing the right-wing pivot. Also, putting I honestly, congratulations to Denims. Congratulations to Denims. Like, I'm really happy for Denims. Like, legitimately, congratulations to Denims, because making Denims like his main antagonist, she's gonna blow up. Like, congratulations to Denims. Like, honestly, like, look at this. Like, Jesus Christ. Denims was averaging like 1,000 to 1.5 viewers, peaking out at like 2,000-3,000, and now because of the Ethan Klein shit, she doubled in size. Got like 10,000 more or 9,000 more followers than me. Followed by Tectone. This guy is the most disgusting freak loser I've ever fucking seen. Tectone. So like legitimately, if you like Tectone, you are an irredeemable piece of scum. Like that's crazy. Oh, like look at that Denims spike. That's crazy. Like doubled in size. Thank you, Ethan Klein. You are Denim's best friend. Holy shit. That's crazy.
How many more New Yorkers are not charged? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan? How many more New Yorkers are not charged?
He's such a king, dude. We love Zoran here. He's such a king. That's what I like to see. I like to see that Zoran actually has the fire in him. I'm so like a lot of leftists do this happy warrior bullshit. It's like my main frustration with the current crop of leftist leaders, whether it's Bernie Sanders or AOC or pretty much all of them. I'm like trying to think of anybody who's a leftist who's actually like mad. Like Jeremy Corbyn is a great example of someone who's like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I'm wearing this sweater my mom crocheted type of shit. No. We need some anger. So when I see him go popping off like that leads me to believe we've got the guy. He may be the guy.
I'm angry that person is there instead of me. Man, this has like
Jasmine Crockett is not the guy. Jasmine Crockett is not great.
32k viewers. That seems low for them. So I just want to emphasize here, the reason why he's doing this is because he can't respond to my actual arguments on the politics. So he's doing this thing where what he's doing explicitly is jumping onto a narrative that I went over in a previous video of mine on my main channel that was created by Argentine far-right neo-Nazis and Zionists who targeted me with a mass harassment campaign to like try and paint me as like an internationally wanted criminal and like a convicted pedophile. So Ethan is like latching onto that to attempt to like do everything except actually address the facts in my video. So this is the video where I went over that, if you're interested in the whole affair. And unlike Ethan Klein's insane conspiracy video, I have actual fucking citations that directly show exactly what I'm saying. I have actual real police reports that I actually cite in the video that I show to the camera. Not like Ethan Klein, who just threatens and makes shit up. So let's check out Ethan Klein's Bad Empanada Crash Out. Woo! He's just going over the shit conspiracy video that he uploaded and reiterating everything about it. Imagine like you're a fan of this podcast, and I don't know what it was about once. I've never seen it until it was about whatever the fuck this is. Like maybe it was about comedy or something at one point. Though Ethan Klein is very unfunny, so I seriously doubt that. So you're a fan of this podcast, and gradually it just becomes the host just fucking complaining about people criticizing him on the internet over and over and concocting an elaborate conspiracy theory about that. Dude, you are unwell. Like, he's so angry about the fact that he can't bully me into submission by sending his fans at me to do death threats and just defaming me with this ridiculous narrative where I'm like an internationally wanted criminal or whatever. He is just so absurdly angry that he can't bully me into submission because it's what he's used to doing because he's a rich fuck. He's used to just...
Yeah, I mean, Ethan Klein is used to people who are content creators that are not in, like, he's used to basically bullying makeup, you know, content creators. You know what I mean? People that, for the most part, their experience online is getting positive feedback, right? Like, that's true of most content creators. It's even true of me, right? It's true of us political content creators as well. But the thing is, we're also used to having a group of people who just hate us, period, off the rip. Like, the moment you say, I'm a democratic socialist, right? A bunch of people are going to hate you right off the rip. And they're going to try to attack you, and they're going to insult you, and they're going to go after you. Right. So right off of the beginning of my stream, I understand that I had political enemies out there. I mean, I ran for office and I had the Republican Party try to destroy me, you know, and go after me to beat me, you know, like, so I was already used to it. I understand what politics is. I understand that there's going to be ideological opposition and there's going to be people that are against you, period. Ethan Klein is used to people that like make makeup tutorials or, you know, talk about drag queen story hour or whatever the fuck. Like, he's used to the most gentle, you know, corporate, publicly facing content creators. And when those people get bullied, they're not used to it. They're not ready for it. And so they crumble and they give in to make it stop. But for us, honestly, and I mean this with full disrespect to H3, like, legitimately, no, he has no shooters. The only people that are really H3 shooters are really just old Destiny viewers that got ashamed of the fact that Destiny's a sex criminal. And the one thing they did to keep their identity from falling apart is they went to go into full-blown attack Mike and Hassan full time, right? Like, that's like, they gave up their Destiny, the Destiny side of their identity, but they kept on the I hate Mike and Hassan because Destiny told me to. Wait, let's forget that part. Those are the only shooters he has. Oh, and the other thing that I've noticed is there are a few groypers, which is very interesting. It's very interesting that Groypers kind of they will pretend to be like H3 people or even like progressives or socialists or whatever, but you look into their accounts and it's like they're retweeting Nick Fuentes. And you're like, why the fuck is a Nick Fuentes guy going after me in support of Ethan? So those are the only, so it's honest to God not even different than normal. It's just like Ethan Klein has like minimal shooters.
Oh, I'm sorry, we got to talk about the Ethans.
All right, chat, we're gonna jump over to the Mahmoud's lawyers real quick.
Legally speak to us about that?
Yeah, the government has basically admitted that they're punishing him for his views that are contrary to the government's views. And that's just an obvious piece of authoritarian logic that we cannot tolerate as long as we live in a democracy. It's totally unacceptable for him and for others.
The government's attorney simply focusing on the proper jurisdiction is either Louisiana or New Jersey, but not New York. Why?
The government is claiming, and you know, this is really a question for the government. The government is claiming that because of the time he filed a habeas corpus petition in this court, he was already in New Jersey. They had already moved him to New Jersey as part of their plan, again, to move him 1,000 miles away to Louisiana, to take him away from this court, from his lawyers, from his support network. And you know, of course, the goal in all of this is to silence not just Mahmoud, but to silence anyone who will speak in defense of Palestinian lives and rights. And clearly, as you can see by the thousands of people who have come out, not just today, but this past week, that is backfiring. People are not silenced. People are not bowed in any way, shape, or form. And this idea that the movement in support of Palestinian lives is somehow driven and supported mainly by foreigners and non-citizens and individuals who are marginalized is clearly false. It is an American movement, and of course there are non-citizens and green card holders as well. But it is mainstream, as you can see from the diverse crowd that has come out, not just here today, but campuses nationwide for the past year.
The government says they have flyers. Do you think they could be planted? Yesterday, the White House press secretary made out Mr. Klein that he organized protests where class propaganda was distributed. Can you guys address that?
The government's position is that Mahmoud has views that are similar to Hamas, namely that Mahmoud believes in Palestinian human rights and the end to an ongoing genocide. And it is for that reason, as the White House and the Department of Homeland Security have said, that he has been arrested, detained, and potentially removed. So it's their disagreement with his viewpoint, not any remotely scintilla of security threat that's driving this. Again, it's about repression, it's not about security.
What would you say about I would add that, you know, whatever flyers the White House spokesperson may have been talking about, that has certainly not been the government's position in court. And so I think that's an important thing to keep in mind, that the White House spokesperson says a lot of things that are unsubstantiated, not just on this case. I would pay attention to what they actually, you know, put forward in court.
Can you speak to what Mahmoud is doing, how he's been in court, or been in Louisiana?
I mean, as you can imagine, these are very difficult circumstances. Mahmoud and his wife, I mean, the last thing they expected was for something like this to happen. They had every reason to expect stability. He's a lawful permanent resident. She's a U.S. citizen. They're about to welcome their firstborn child next month. That's what they were thinking about, not, you know, this scenario where he's abducted, coming home at night, and you know, rendered to a location 1,000 miles away by the U.S. government on account of his speech. In light of that, you know, Mahmoud, of course, is a fighter. He's been a prominent advocate for Palestinian rights. He's equally unbowed. He's in good spirits considering these circumstances, and he looks forward to being back here at home in New York.
What are the immediate next
The question is about immediate next steps. We will be filing amended papers demonstrating joined by our colleagues from the ACLU and the New York Civil Liberties Union, filing amended papers that substantiate in more detail the unlawful nature of his detention, and thereafter will pursue an expedited schedule to have the court hear his demand that his detention is unlawful and that he should be released.
Do they have any reason to take him out of state? Yes, but the reason is unlawful. Basically, they don't want to have New York courts challenging the federal government's action, so they took him to Louisiana in order to find the most right-wing judge they could. It's like if I sued Ethan Klein and then took him to Dearborn, Michigan. You know what I mean? Like, it is an effort to control who the people are.
And we will also be dealing with the government's claim that this court is not the proper venue.
Why is that legal? It's not. They're violating the law right now. They arrested someone in violation of the First Amendment. Like, don't you understand that law? Okay, this is something that every leftist needs to understand. This is one of the most foundational things to understand if you're going to be someone who's left-wing. You need to understand what law is. Okay, what is law? The best understanding of what law is from Supreme Court Chief Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes. He explained it. All right. He said, the life of the law has not been logic. It has been experience. The felt necessities of the time, the prevalent moral and political theories, institutions of public policy, avowed or unconscious, and even the prejudices which judges share with their fellow men have had a good deal more to do than the syllogism in determining the rules by which men should be governed. So what he's saying here is that judges are not interpreting the rules and law and reading text. They serve the social interests and public policy when deciding a case. What does that mean? It means that if you say this is against the law and you expect the law to protect you because of the plain meaning of the law, you are going to be disappointed. Judges are politicians. Judges make decisions ideologically motivated. The law is what the politicians think they can get away with, is another way of putting it. And law requires social consensus to operate. Law is not enforced because of police. Law is enforced because you implicitly enforce it. When you drive on the right side of the street, are you driving on the right side of the street because you're going to get pulled over if you drive on the left side, or because you are conceding to the legal framework that exists? It may be just practical. I drive on the right side of the street because I don't want to have a head-on collision because everybody's expecting you to drive on the right side of the street. So I drive on the right side of the street so I don't run into people. It's a practical consent that you're making. That's how all law operates. Enforcement is extremely rare. You don't steal because it's against the law. You just don't steal because you are conceding, you are agreeing with the morality and with the structure of society that surrounds that. That is the actual truth. Rousseau put it very, who's a French philosopher, political philosopher, Rousseau. He wrote that everywhere man is born free and everywhere he is in chains. This is very important, fundamental. What does that mean? It means that you have the radical freedom to do whatever the fuck you want, but you don't. Not because of the policeman, but because of the own constrictions you place upon your own mind. And so it's very important that you understand that, yes, what they're doing is super fucking illegal. That didn't stop them. The only way to be stopped is if society steps up and stops them. But the fact that they did this already shows that we are dangerously close to a civil war. Do you get that? Like, I hate to be cringe, but the fact that they think they could do this shows you how dangerously close we are to the fall of law and order, period.
Same time over the next week.
What would you say to understanding legally why this is, they're saying what they're saying publicly versus what's happening in court? It's two different things. What is the legal reason for what the government is explaining to why they're doing?
How are they justifying it?
Yeah, the government, as far as we understand it, is relying on a rarely used provision in immigration law to justify the detention of a lawful permanent resident and his placement and removal procedure. It is a provision that basically says that if the Secretary of State determines that a non-citizen's presence or activity in this country poses a serious risk of like adverse foreign policy consequences potentially, that person can be processed for removal. Now, of course, that provision is not only rarely used, it is certainly not intended by Congress to be used to silence dissent. In other words, the times that it has been used to, for example, prohibit the visas for folks who have, people who have interfered with democracy in their home countries, former officials. Those are the kinds of scenarios where you see that law used. It is not intended to be used to silence pro-Palestinian speech or any other speech that the government happens to dislike. And for that reason, we believe that this case is not going to set the precedent that the government wants it to set, whether it's in federal court or an immigration court. And you already know just by looking behind you that it's not having the effect that the government wants it to have on people's solidarity with Palestinians. So the question was whether we can confirm that he sent an email to the president of Columbia University the night before he was arrested and detained to basically put the university on notice that he was feeling unprotected by the university and that he was worried about detention by ICE and doxing and actions by private actors. He was in fear for his life and well-being. That is accurate. He did send that email to the head of Columbia University, and I think his email raises an important question. This is a university that has spent the better part of the last year talking about its duty to protect students and to keep them safe. But in a scenario where numerous students are being approached by ICE on Columbia's campus, and one Columbia student, Mahmoud Khalid, has been effectively disappeared by U.S. government agents, again, on Columbia's property, the university has been remarkably absent and silent.
Student at Florida, one more question, please. Student at Florida, one more question, please.
Thank you all. We're going to wrap up here. For any questions regarding details about today's speakers, you can come to me or Jen here. And I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank all the people who are out there in the crowd listening. And I want to remind everyone that the family has asked for privacy at this time. Thank you.
Apparently the Enabling Act is happening. Apparently the Enabling Act is happening right now, or like very soon. Basically, the Trump administration is asserting massive new powers to control federal spending unilaterally, and many devs view the shutdown bill as their only possible point of leverage. We'll see what they do soon. President Donald Trump needs Senate Democrats' votes to keep the government funded and open this week, but a group is still agonizing over whether to use this rare point of congressional leverage to extract concessions from Republicans and risk taking blame for a government shutdown. Some argue that voting for a bill to fund the government through September would empower Trump to dismantle more of the federal government. Others contend a shutdown would hurt federal workers and the government even more. These people are fucking... I don't even have a word for it. Stupid doesn't feel right. These people are just liars. They're just enablers. They're collaborators. They're literally saying they're going to fire half of the Department of Education. How could a short shutdown for a week hurt more than getting fired? What? Senate Democrats are under pressure from grassroots liberals to join House Democrats in withholding their votes. Activists want Democrats to negotiate language and funding bills that explicitly bar Elon Musk's Doge service from impounding any congressionally mandated funds in a bid to slow the Trump administration's unlawful layoffs and cuts. What the fuck? This is really the only significant point of leverage the congressional Democrats have this year, says Ezra Levin, co-founder of the grassroots liberal group Indivisible. It's crazy to me that any Democrat would be like, yeah, let's vote for it. Have some respect for yourself. Some Democrats think they must surrender that leverage to avoid what could be a chaotic and politically risky shutdown. Bitch, there's no elections! What are you talking about? There's no election! What? Republicans need 7 Democrats to pass their funding bill through the Senate on Friday. Oh my God. One Republican, Rand Paul, said he's opposed. They even have a Republican! They even have a Republican on their side. What are you talking about? Oh my God. If Democrats shut down the government to make guardrails around Musk, they risk taking the blame. They're going to try to blame you anyway. What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? If you're concerned about the economy teetering on recession, imagine what would happen if you shut the government down. John Fetterman. Your son is going to have a birthday party soon. He's going to be the center of attention, John Fetterman. Your son's going to have a birthday party soon, and he'll be the center of attention. Hey, John Fetterman, your son might be the center of attention. Does that make you feel a little bit out of place? He's the only Democrat who has publicly said he will vote for the bill, calling it a vote against it, a vote for chaos. This guy is the dumbest, most evil motherfucker in the entire Senate. I don't feel that we've got leverage. If you're in Colorado, call John Hickenlooper right fucking now. If you're in Colorado, call John Hickenlooper right fucking now. If you're in Colorado, call him right fucking now. This is how you find it. You search John Hickenlooper office number. I want you to call his DC office. Oh, no. There it is. Watch it. He's in the Hart Senate office building. His phone number is 202-224-5941. If you're in Colorado, call this motherfucking worthless, spineless, fuck, moron piece of shit and demand he vote to shut down the government unless they get guardrails to protect the federal workforce. What a fucking loser. Democrats need to defend the spending authority that framers gave Congress, Hickenlooper said. We have to respect the balance of power that the Constitution describes. Once you start throwing out the Constitution, who knows what's next? Yeah, you have the leverage, you dumb piece of shit. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has declined to say whether we advise members to vote against the bill. Call this motherfucking loser. Call this motherfucking loser. Schumer's neutral position has alienated others in the conference, according to two people familiar with the situation who spoke on the condition of anonymity. You fucking cowards! Some Democratic senators are furious at Schumer for not having a strategy and message to counter the House Republican bill. Fire his ass! What the fuck is this shit? The Democratic Party is completely useless. The Democratic Party is completely fucking useless. Others argued that allowing the government to shut down would hurt federal workers and give Trump and Musk a freer hand to shutter. How? What are you talking about? Why would I give to Article 2 branch the power to rewrite all the budgetary decisions I make? I just cannot see my way to doing that. If Senate Democrats provide the votes, they would likely face an enraged grassroots next week at town halls during the congressional recess. Those liberal voters are aghast as Trump administration continues to overrule congressional appropriations, firing federal workers and canceling funds. Anyone who's dumb enough to vote for this sure as hell is going to own the consequences. This bill is a permission slip to do so much destruction that will take us years and years to undo. Shame on any Democrat who even thinks about voting for it. It's hard to fathom how distant they'll need to be from their own constituents to approve the bill, he added. All I could see is if they pass this fucking bill, if Democrats pass this fucking bill, it's beyond Jover. It is beyond fucking Jover. Yeah, we saw Zoran vote yelling at Homan. Jesus fucking Christ.
But like going to communities like that, and I repeat this all the time, and I'm saying this at a time when Ethan is basically using, once again, a cyber stalking operation that has been ongoing for 6 years, something that he knows very well, something that he has also been in the crosshairs of as well, to launch ridiculously cynical attacks against me and all of these other people. Something showed up on my TikTok For You page the other day, or yesterday, that I actually retweeted, but someone literally went through the effort of putting together a like 7-minute compilation of me with like the actual timeline. Someone posted a 7-minute compilation of me defending Ethan and telling people to fuck off and not to go after him and whatnot. It's wild that this man has had so much animosity and so much smoke for me. When I kept saying, like, I don't want to turn this into drama. I don't want to turn it into, like, I think that this is the issues that we're talking about are far more consequential. I don't think Ethan's opinion on the matter is all that significant. It's just entirely manufactured and one-sided, dude. I believe I can communicate with, that I can lead by, from literally November onward, every now and all the way until like I do care about until the past couple of months, literally all the way until the past couple of months. I was like, listen, I think Ethan is on the side of the Palestinians over and over again. This is what the foot soldiers should see, the ones that now hate me and think that this is like my doing, that I'm single-handedly responsible for all the
awful shit that's happening to Ethan is not who I am. I will always extend charity and grace, perhaps far too long for a lot, far beyond what like other members of this community will engage in. FYI, chatters are saying he's blaming Denims, not you. They're probably drama baiting you. Apparently, he's not blaming you, by the way. That was bait. Oh, great. Oh.
Okay, first of all, Anaphase, Anaphase, you need to, you're not on the team. Okay, like, with all due respect, you're not being harassed. And Hassan speaking up against this is not a problem. And Denims, as far as I know, unless you could show me a clip of Denims saying call CPS, never said call CPS. Meanwhile, so you're just going to throw Denims under the bus? Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's called solidarity. What are you guys doing over there? Like, what the fuck are you doing over there? She didn't say that. Somebody said something in chat doesn't mean that she said it. Meanwhile, he's literally calling on his community, not Ethan Klein is calling on his community to dox people. Like, what are you doing?
Yes, you're getting farmed, dummy. Yeah, good. Maybe in the process of me getting farmed, if they post that thing on the Ethan Klein subreddit, which has turned into Hassan Hate Hour snark, perhaps they will realize.
But they don't notice that. Hassan, like, I honest to God, I don't know what's going on with some of the moderation over on Hassan's stream, but like, if Hassan was to talk about Ethan Klein or Destiny and push back against the fire hose of hatred and doxing and stalking he's getting, it's not your business to quiet him down. He's in charge of his stream. What are you talking about?
That maybe they were wrong. That's a good starting point for them, considering that they only care about Ethan.
And Denims deserves defense. Like, this is insane. Like, yes, Denims and I have been acting like we're having a great time, because guess what? The best revenge is living well. The worst thing you could do is act like a punch hurt you when you're in a fight. So just because Denims and I are succeeding is not in any way harming Hassan. In fact, it's helping him, because the larger creators who defend him, the safer he's going to be. It's when it's everybody piling on Hassan, that's when his mental health takes a dive. Us defending him is good, actually. And we know him. Like, what are you doing? If Hassan tells me to never talk about Ethan Klein again, because that's the strategy he wants to do, I will say, okay, I respect you. But that's his decision to make, not yours. What's going on here? All right, we have somebody who needs to get in trouble because they're okay, dude. Just, you need a week off for being a dumb fuck. Come back next week.
Klein, and like not really any of the political issues that we're talking about here. Okay,
like more prominent leftist creators target heats off of Hassan. Of course there is. Of course this is my own self-interest. The thing is, I am always open about my self-interest. I want Hassan and Denims and all of us to do better because it's good for us. But I also believe in it. And if you think I'm just I have been in Hassan's community before I even streamed. I have been there for 6 years. I have subscribed. I think I'm on 66 months subscription or even longer. Here, let me go look. I've been a paid subscriber to Hassan for that long. I have been, I've been a VIP since 2019. I have been there. I have literally sent thousands of messages. I've watched thousands of hours of Hassan. I am just a Hassan viewer. I'm not doing it just for clout. I like Hassan and I watch Hassan. Probably more than most of you do, to be honest. I have 65 months of subscriptions. 65 months. I've been following him for 5 years, 8 months, 21 days, and 16 hours. I'm not just some Johnny come lately that is like, I'm going to get clout off Hassan. No, I've been defending and I've been a friend of Hassan for almost 6 years now. I don't need you going around in the community saying that I'm trying to leech off Hassan, you fucking assholes. I have been there since the beginning. And I'm going to continue to defend my friend, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not. Can you check watch time? It's thousands of hours. I probably have 3,000 hours watching Hassan. Something insane like that. How do you do the command? Is there a command? Is there a command for that? Or is there no such command? Watch it? Follow it? No. It doesn't exist anymore? Damn. My points? 956,566 channel points. Now, I don't I lost a bunch from Gamma. I was betting on Hassan when he was doing Rust, and I lost most of my points. I kept being a believer. And I lost a bunch of points on when he was playing Rust, which was a big mistake. Elden Ring got me to 3 mil. Oh, come on, man. I have been subsidizing you point havers because I'm always a believer. Anyway, what was I saying? God, it's so fucking annoying when people are like, oh, they're drama baiting you. It's not drama. Like, this guy's trying to deplatform us. This guy is trying to contact, like, Tom Cotton. And, like, do you think it's drama? Like, what are you guys talking about? They're trying to get us banned. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know about Ethan, but there's still hope for his relatively progressive audience that think that they're, like, pro-Palestine.
It's just, like, weird behavior. Like, you're like, what the fuck are you guys doing? It's parasocial Andes in the mod team. Some of the mods decided they hate drama and that they are alone are the ones capable of deciding what is and isn't. Yeah, who elected them mod, you know, the people who could, to police what other creators who are friends of Hassan say? Who elected them king of other streams? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why do you keep touching your nose? It's just my tick. I just have a tick where I do this. I rub my face. It's a tick. I have a few of them. It's like weird shit. I cut Hassan's mods slack. I like Hassan's mods, most of them, but I just don't understand, like, what the, like, oh, you're getting baited by drama. No, it's not. He's talking about the shit that's going down where he's being threatened. And, like, Denims sometimes has takes that I don't agree with. Like, I think her take about, oh, you know, the kids won't even remember it. I think that was a really bad optics and a bad argument. Like, I think she was, I understand what she was trying to do, but that was a bad argument. That was a bad argument, and that had a bad optics. That was a bad argument to make. The point is that she should have made is we had nothing to do with it, and he's just trying to displace blame.
Just throwing money at his problems. He's used to having influence. He's used to being able to tell people what to do. He can't do it to me, and it makes him so pissed. I don't get scared of him, and it just makes him so angry. And I love it.
It's not just drama. It's literally threatening his life. It's threatening our freedom. Do you guys not see a major leader of the pro-Palestinian movement at Colombia is being sent? They're trying to revoke his green card. They're trying to undo birthright citizenship as well. Like, you guys think politics is just entertainment for you to watch so you can have good vibes. It's not.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. This guy has never been told no in his life. He's being told no finally. You know, I'm not catering to the death threats of his fans, the racism from his fans. I'm not falling in line. He can't handle it. The poor guy. He's used to filing frivolous lawsuits against people to get them to stop talking about him. You know, he's used to, like, getting his contacts at Reddit and shit, as he said in his video, to ban people for criticizing him. He can't handle it when it doesn't work. You just know this guy's doing everything to try to get to me. Like, he's hiring private investigators. He's begging his lawyers to try and do something. They can't. Ethan has insinuated multiple times that he has hired private investigators to go after his targets, basically. Like, he is the doxer in chief. Yesterday, he doxed another random guy's Facebook account for leaving a mean comment. Let's watch Unwell Ethan Klein crash out further right after his Shopify.com ad, apparently.
A huge team of experienced programmers, you know, it's just a small monthly fee. But you don't even have to worry about that, because if you go
Great
to...
ad read, Ethan. Imagine your CPS and you look at this guy fucking shaking and sniffing. This can't be good for the investigation.
Destiny subreddit.
Let's
I think
go!
it's time to hold all of them accountable. Here, for example, is...
What is this? He makes a video on his main channel, and he dedicates a podcast episode to just rewatching his own video and live reacting to it while having uncontrollable eyebrow twitches. Look at that still. Look at that fucking still. Look at this guy. He is unwell. This man. Look at him. He's The Rock. He just transformed into fucking Rocky Maivia. I can't believe it. I bow before you, Ethan. He just did the fucking rock eyebrow like it's nothing.
I'm jealous. I can't do that. I can't do that.
That takes talent, involuntary talent, but talent nonetheless. Wow, I can't do that. I couldn't do it if I tried. I can't even raise one eyebrow like that, dude. I smell what fucking Ethan is cooking. Amazing.
Yeah, I can.
Denims, aka Hassan Waiting Room, watching Bad Empanada talk about the state of our house
Whoa.
and how we take care of our kids. Let's take a look.
He lets his dogs shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons.
True. I pointed out, I cut this, but I pointed out, it looks like he's in a prison.
Oh, yeah, Ethan.
Okay. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't spent multiple millions of dollars on a studio to hire a bunch of sycophants to agree with me to try to make me sound correct. I can just make my points myself. I don't need to have 8 people following me around with a fucking trash can to pick up the shit that I let drop onto the ground. I mean, I think Ethan Klein understands that he's kind of gross, right? Like, I don't think, you know, it's like one of those things that's really weird where he does a lot of projection. And like, it's like when Ethan Klein calls me fat. It's like, bitch, you were significantly more obese than I've ever been in my entire life. Like, you try to use a still of me as like evidence that I'm super duper fat. And it's like, you, until you got an Ozempic, you were at least 100 pounds heavier than me at my heaviest point. And now, like, people are just repeating what you said, that you had animal shit all over your studio. Now, I don't know about your house. I just know about what you guys said about the studio.
I'm coming at you from prison, Ethan.
Well, I said hopefully that's foreshadowing. Or maybe he is in prison and Argentina is really progressive with their prison system. I don't know. But
it is. I've been in prison for a while. They let me stream from prison. They're all in on it, Ethan. How'd you know?
His house looks so fucking depressing. That is just... And like, he's got the bars on the window, you see?
Whoa!
Yeah, bro, your walls are just empty in the whole fucking ass house? Like, not a single thing?
Usually I think the bars go... I don't know. Should I put all of my accomplishments on my wall, Ethan? Like, let's think of Ethan's accomplishments. I don't know. He's just grasping at anything, though. This is awesome.
Outside of the...
Why don't you have paintings on your walls? I don't know, Ethan. Maybe I'll put a painting of dog shit on your floor. Thanks for the idea.
Window when it's like for protective measures.
I think
Why are the bars inside of the window?
I think those are, as much as I want to believe they're...
People are paying too much attention to that anti-Semite. Who's an anti-Semite? There's no anti-Semites. All I see are myself watching a Bad Empanada video and Denims. There's no... The only anti-Semites are the people who say that Israel equals Jewish. That's anti-Semitic. Empanada watching a stream of Ethan watching a stream of Denims watching a video. It's so good. The levels of react are so great. I love this shit. This is so funny. This is what people like, though. This is the slop people like. So, you know, we'll watch it.
Bars. I think
they're there to keep me in from all of my many victims.
Lines that are...
Those are bars, my friend.
Okay, I see what AB is saying.
Those are bars. What about this, AB?
Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah, I think you're
That could
right.
just be the pain.
Dude, it's bars. What are we talking about? This man, I mean...
What are we talking about? He's not in prison.
I know he's not in prison, but this is normal in places where they put the bars on the windows to stop...
Well, sure, yeah, I guess.
That's what it is, but I'm just making...
It's normal in America. I guess Ethan Klein is so used to being in Beverly Hills that he doesn't know that bars on windows on the first floor are really common everywhere. Maybe it's not true in Beverly Hills behind your 8 levels of privacy fence, but it's very common in America as well.
Jokes.
But they seriously usually are on the outside of the window.
It's not a joke, it's true.
I think he must be in some kind of conservatorship. He's locked in some...
He's forced to do these
He's
videos.
locked in some apartment somewhere.
Ethan, are you losing? Are you getting fucking wrecked by one single guy who does everything himself? Well, you have a whole crew, a whole studio, fuck off money, and you're losing to a guy who's literally in a conservatorship in jail this hard. I'm making you crash out and do entire podcasts about me. Ethan, are you sure about this narrative? Does this make you look good?
For his own good. They forgot to turn his internet off, unfortunately.
Yeah, we saw that.
No, he's actually one of the sickest dudes on the internet.
Let me do
Anyone that knows anything about it knows. I mean, this guy, I'll show you in this video, but he did a video.
Let's see.
There's so much, dude, to say about him. It's kind of insane. In fact, Bad Empanada...
You should react to one of my whole videos and show everyone how bad it is. You should react to an entire video of mine.
Get to it in the video, but you're not going to be happy to know this, but people have infiltrated your... He has a Patreon... a Patreon for people... Sorry, a Discord for Patreon members.
Patreon.com/badempanada. You can get in the Discord for $1.
And they all have access to this place where they do like... They literally...
How come he has to... Okay, listen. I've never commented on his tics before, but he has to sniff after every word? Every word? Blow your nose, man. The only time I've ever heard somebody like this is when they were in some sort of like... They had some sort of external medication or other form of... Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, is he... I don't remember him sniffing this much.
Literally talk about doing psyops, faking posts, brigading, all the shit. and I have 4 years of all of his chats. There's stuff
That's
in
so
there that will
funny.
put him in prison. I'm
There's stuff
not
in
even fucking kidding. Like, he is a straight up. And so going through this, I was trying to figure out.
That's so funny. Let me show you the psyops. It's so funny. I'll just show you some of these epic psyops straight from my Discord. Search for psyop. We need a psyop. I'm gonna go to jail for this, apparently. This is the first result for psyop. We need a psyop in the H3H3 sub, encouraging Ethan to debate me because it'd be so easy. I'm going to prison for that one, Ethan. They've infiltrated my Discord. The Discord that anyone who pays $1 can join. They've infiltrated it. It's so insane in there. What other psyops have we got? It's over. I'm going to prison. Your Honor, they said to post on my Reddit saying that I should debate Bad Empanada. Case closed. It's over for him. It's the end. It is truly over.
By the way, I feel like we should always, you know, some people are like less supportive of Bad Empanada than me, and they try to distance themselves from Bad Empanada. And again, I disagree with him on things. Like, I disagree with him on things. And it is what it is. But I believe in solidarity. And I'm not going to try to do this lib shit where I'm like, oh, Bad Empanada has said problematic things. Oh, my. Yeah, there's things I don't agree with, without a doubt, or things that I wouldn't myself do. That's why I don't do them. I'm not responsible for everything he's ever done. But on this issue in particular, Bad Empanada is completely correct.
The psyops, you will never get away with this, Bad Empanada. A psyop, a so-called psyop, where I say that I want Destiny to sue me for calling him a pedophile, and that people should do a psyop in his subreddit, encouraging him to sue me. I want Destiny to sue me for defamation for calling him a pedophile. And then we can cite the definition of pedophile and play 5 clips where he talks about his attraction to 14-year-olds. Can we do a psyop in his subreddit? Destiny should definitely sue Bad Empanada and force him to prove in court that he's a pedophile. The tanky would have no choice. Put the idea in his head like Inception. I'm going to jail for that. Let's just say it's a terrible crime. Posting psyops on Reddit, that's a fucking jail right there. What else have we got? So, new Discord psyop. Post on the Vorsh subreddit that tanky Bad Empanada is attacking progressive YouTuber Johnny Harris and needs our support. Bad Empanada even uses far-right conspiracy theories against the WEF. Yeah, I'm going to jail for that one. What else have we got? New Bad Empanada psyop. Let's check out this one. And again, if you want to fact check me, just pay $1 and join my Discord and search for psyop. You can see all of our nefarious things that are going to get us sent into jail. New Discord psyop. Post this image with title, Could Bad Empanada be any more anti-Semitic on Vorsh V subreddit? I'm going to jail. Jail is coming. Prison is coming. Well, I'm already in jail, so it's kind of jailception, honestly. This is going back 3 years already. I'm sure there's more nefarious psyops in the Bad Empanada subreddit, but you're going to have to pay $1 if you want to search for them yourself. But yeah, as you can see, I am going to fucking jail for the content of this Discord server. That I think I send 2 messages in per week, and half of them are like yelling at someone for being annoying. So yeah, I am very excited.
I appreciate Bad Empanada because he doesn't let us sit there and sniff our own farts. You know what I mean? Like, some people, they don't like that. They want you to always be in this kind of like bubble where everything is great and there's no criticisms of you that are valid. And, you know, and Bad Empanada comes in here and goes, you guys are being really self-congratulatory over a situation where you're not winning. And you know what? I'm glad he does that. I'm glad he does that. I'm glad he comes in there and he fucks shit up. Sometimes it's not, I don't agree with his point, and sometimes I do. But I just value having a gadfly in our midst. That's good faith. The thing about him is he's good faith, you know, and he presents the arguments that you present and he gives you the business. And, you know, he doesn't hate you over it. He just presents, and I appreciate that. Maybe it's like, you know, my form of neurodivergence where I like truth telling, even if I don't agree with the person's truth. And it's okay. People are allowed to have different personalities and different approaches. Be comfortable with that. I like that I'm different than Hassan. I like that I'm different from Caroline or Denims or, you know what I mean? Like, I like that there's people that are different, and we all are different, and we have our own ways of being. And that is good. Now, you know, I don't like, you know, a certain, as long as you respect people's fundamental humanity, which is what I try to do.
To go to jail.
Sometimes
honestly.
I fail.
for Discord chat logs that are just out there in public.
His GDF video, I understand his argument. I just disagree with him. Like, his GDF video is basically talking about, like, his perspective on Israel is more of, like, Badapadada's perspective of Israel is the perspective of someone who's not American. And the GDF video was talking about how Israel and its lobby interacts with American politics. And if you're not an American, which Badapadada is not, he's not aware of how the Israeli lobby operates inside the United States. And if he is, it's only from his observations from the outside. Those of us who are on the left and in the left in America, we understand how the Israeli lobby operates as a front for fascism in our domestic politics. Okay? And he doesn't really get that. And he just looks at the relationship between the United States and Israel and what Israel is providing for the imperial core, which is no doubt correct. He just underestimates the level at which the Israeli lobby interferes with domestic American politics. And so GDF is right, Badapadada is wrong. And that's fine. That's fine. He's allowed. By the way, it's not just that simple, by the way. Badapadada is right in a lot of important ways, but he doesn't have the full picture, which GDF in the Israeli lobby book that he cited from Professor Mearsheimer is actually very valuable if you're trying to understand why Israel is able to dominate American politics in such a unique way. I honestly highly recommend it. The Israel lobby and U.S. foreign policy from Harvard Kennedy School is like one of the most important books. It started as a paper. It was John Mearsheimer and Stephen M. Walt. So John J. Mearsheimer of University of Chicago's Department of Political Science and Stephen M. Walt of Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government contend that the centerpiece of U.S. Middle East policy is its intimate relationship with Israel. So these are not like crazy loons that GDF was citing. These are some of the most elite political scientists in America who wrote this book. All right. So like, that's why I disagree completely with, I completely agree with GDF and I don't agree with Badapadada, period.
And always have been. Thanks, Ethan.
What to do with it. And I think the best thing is just to release it to the public. And that you
just release it. Anyone can join.
Wasn't his contention that the Iraq war was mainly about oil, not just picking off an enemy of Israel on their behalf? Okay. My main disagree. Okay, yes, the Iraq war was also about oil. This is the thing that Badapadada doesn't understand about American politics, and this is why he's not. This is a very important point that I want to express to you. America has a lot of interest in doing all sorts of weird, bad shit, right? That we're not currently doing. However, if we did them, you would be able to go, oh, that is in America's interest because of X, Y, and Z. In order for the American state to actually do the thing, it requires a confluence of factors. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. The TikTok ban, right? They wanted to ban TikTok for a while. And why did they want to ban TikTok? Well, because it was a Chinese-owned app. So they were worried about American competition with China. And then Silicon Valley wanted to eliminate a competitor, right? So there was a bunch of there was a bunch of interests in trying to ban TikTok, but they didn't ban TikTok. Why didn't they ban TikTok? Well, because they were worried about, there was a large user base for TikTok. There wasn't any smoking gun about why TikTok was actually interfering with American foreign policy. There's a lot of business interests. There was a lot of, there was countervailing forces in favor of TikTok that were sufficient to prevent the banning of TikTok, right? Why did that change? Why did TikTok then get a ban? Well, because there was because it's a Chinese-owned app, they weren't aware of the fact that they had to censor the app's algorithm in favor of Israel, right? They just let the conversation about Palestine emerge organically, right? And so people started to engage with pro-Palestinian content within the TikTok algorithm, and the arguments are much more compelling on the pro-Palestinian side than the pro-Israeli side when they're actually stacked side by side without censorship. And so the pro-Palestinian side blew up. And that got the attention of the Israel lobby because they saw that a lot of young people were supporting Palestine. They saw a lot of protests happening against their genocide. They're like, wait a minute, why are so many Americans taking the side of Palestine? And they narrowed it down to TikTok being the primary vector of pro-Palestinian sentiment in America. And so the Israeli lobby allied with the foreign policy anti-China hawks and with Silicon Valley, who wanted to eliminate a competitor, to get TikTok banned. So you could look at that and say, oh, TikTok got banned for X, Y, and Z. But the proximate catalyzing effect that got it over the hump was the Israeli lobby. And that's the same thing with the Iraq war. And this is what Badapadada doesn't understand. The United States had a long-term interest of invading Iraq for oil for decades and didn't. But the reason why they got catalyzed into actually invading Iraq was because the Israel lobby got behind Bush's push to invade Iraq. And that convinced a lot of centrist Democrats to go along with it that previously would have been against it. And this is what he doesn't get, is that American policies are a confluence of a lot of different interests. And when you get to a break point where it actually happens, it's important to understand what was the catalyst that got it over the hump. And that's what Badapadada doesn't understand. And that's what GDF and the Israel lobby book understands, is that in Middle East policy, it is the Israeli lobby that leads American policy because they're the ones who care the most, because the Middle East is Israel's backyard. So all of the Israel associated lobbyists and groups, they're constantly trying to push the most maximalist pro-Israeli position on the Middle East, which is why Israel's beliefs dominate American policy in the Middle East. Even to the point where it hurts American foreign policy interests, as long as it advances Israel's foreign policy interests, that's why we're pushing it. Because there is it's another factor that you need to understand about American politics, which is diverse costs, concentrated benefits. That's one of the most important concepts to understand for American policy, which is like, if you have a situation where some people really win from a policy, but it hurts everybody else a little bit, that policy will be enacted because the people that see a major benefit are highly interested and highly organized. And so they push politicians in their favor and they make, they organize around it. They give money around it. Whereas the people that are hurt a little bit don't really care. Another issue that's not as controversial, if you want to hear this concept explained, is the corn subsidies and the sugar tariffs that we have. America pays a lot more money for cane sugar than every other country in the world because there is a confluence of factors with corn farming and ethanol and high fructose corn syrup where American farmers, it's harder for us to grow cane sugar. There's very few places in America that are appropriate for cane sugar plantations, but there's a lot of places where you could grow corn. So there is a huge subsidy to the corn industry by tariffing foreign cane sugar. So we use high fructose corn syrup because it raises the price of corn, and that makes all of our food more expensive. And then there's the possible effects of corn syrup being worse than cane sugar. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's suspected to be true, right? And so we have this policy that hurts sugar plantations in the Caribbean and Brazil. Like, they're not able to sell as much sugar to us. So their farming industry is harmed. Our food is more expensive and more dangerous because it uses corn syrup. And so it hurts a whole bunch of people all around the world, but it benefits a very narrow subsect of very politically powerful American agribusiness. And they organize around it and they donate around it and they push politicians around it. So we keep doing it, even though it's bad and even though it's nonsensical. Because there's such diffuse costs and concentrated benefits, we do it. And that is what Badapadada doesn't understand about America, which is very, very hard to get unless you live in America and you see it. The crisis of America is that all of us are constantly hurt a little bit, but not enough to get mad about it and do something about it. And so you have a bunch of groups that are constantly taking from the rest of us to pay themselves, and they're highly organized. And the most of us, the common good, gets thrown to the wayside. That's why America is a shithole. That's why America is dysfunctional. That's why America can't do anything right, because we have so many organized subsets that are taking from the common weal and hurting all of us. And we don't have any politicians that care about America's interests or care about America as a whole to push back. Does that make sense? That's why GDF was right and Badapadada was wrong. And that's the problem. And this is why you need to have American commentators talking about politics in America and not just foreigners from Canada, you know what I mean, or from Australia talking about it. Because you guys, you get a lot of stuff right, but you're also fundamentally missing some very important things. Who's GDF? He's a YouTuber who makes good videos. They had a disagreement with Badapadada. And here's the thing, chat. I could disagree with Badapadada on this and still like the guy because I'm what's known as an adult. I want to teach you guys something. It's called adulthood. Adulthood is about respect. And respect means that I could see why you believe what you believe and not agree, but still have a relationship with you. That's called being an adult. Everything else is fan culture or stan culture, where you worship a central figure like they have the answers to every question, and anybody who disagrees with you is an enemy. That is stan culture. That is adolescent behavior. That is stupidity in a kind of really fundamental way. And the only exception to that is me. When you watch me, you should follow everything I say and believe everything I do and do exactly what I direct you to do without question. For everybody else, it's different.
Join my Discord, Ethan. It costs a fucking $1. Release it to the public. Oh man, it's over for me. It's fucking, I am done. I'm fucking done.
It behaves. No, he doesn't. Badapadada, listen, Badapadada has no sacred cows. When he made that video against Hassan, that was not good for him. Do you understand that, right? Like, Badapadada is seeing a lot of growth because he's positively disposed to Hassan, and Hassan has given him credit. So a lot of Hassan viewers are watching Badapadada and clicking Badapadada videos. So when he stood up to Hassan, that's against his interest to stand up to Hassan. It's the same thing when I disagree with Majority Report, right? Like, that's not good for me. The best thing to do is to just be friends with everyone and never have any sticky views. Is never have any hard edges. It's just to be a ball of cotton candy bouncing between anybody who will give you attention. That is the best strategy as a content creator. And when I see people do that in politics, I don't like them, to be honest. And so the fact that he was willing to stand up to Hassan and say, I think you're helping, a form of Zionism that is still just as damaging as the more pernicious types, that was harmful for him. But he believed it, and I think that shows integrity. That's actually a sign of his moral uprightness. That's not a sign that he's a bad guy. Now, I don't agree with him. I think his policy. I think fundamentally he's wrong because Hassan is, and he's mistimed, and he doesn't have a perspective that's correct. But I still believe it's a sign of integrity. So you could be wrong and have that be a side of your integrity, and that's why I like Bad and Banana. Even when I disagree with him, like that video about Hassan or the video about GDF, I admire his integrity and his good faith and his uprightness. That is hard to do online.
My Discord server that is just completely open for anyone who pays $1 has smoking gun evidence. It's been there all along, and no one has reported it yet. That's all.
To be fair, none of you all are trying to be spiteful anyway. You all seem smart enough to know that's going to be better for your brand in the long run. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Trust me, I've been doing this for a long time. The best way to grow, the fastest way to grow is to be everybody's friend. The more people you have speaking positively about you, the faster you will grow. It's just how the internet works. When you have contentious fights with people, especially people that are, quote, on your side, you are going to get a lot of hate, and it's going to retard your growth. Like, this is just how the internet works. In fact, and you will see it. Go and take a look. Go take a look at the people that have beliefs compared to the people that don't. A good example is Editor Mentum. Yeah, I think he's a good example of somebody who believes in nothing and just wants attention. Absolutely. That's why I dislike him, because no integrity. You know, he promotes that LX Eagle guy who is like an anti-leftist freak. And it's like, why are you positively interacting with somebody who hates like Zohran and AOC? It's like crazy. And then going like, I like Tim Walz and Bashir.
And Schumer is a Palestinian as far as I'm concerned. You know, he's become a Palestinian. He used to be Jewish. He's not Jewish anymore. He's a Palestinian. Okay.
By the way, chat, this is, if you're a Jewish person, you should understand that this is Hitlerian, right? This is Hitlerian. This is basically Donald Trump saying that anybody who disagrees with me is not a real Jew. The Nazis also said the same thing, actually. Funnily enough, the Nazis said the same thing. The Nazis would say, like, the super Orthodox Jews aren't as bad as the secular Jews. This is something the fucking Nazis said. Somebody on Blue Sky wants an AOC Walls ticket for 2028. Ugh. Depending upon what they ran on, you know, I mean, that would be certainly not great, but I would have to see what exactly they were saying, you know. That's the thing. I don't care about personalities. I'm going to say this again. I don't care about personalities. I care what they believe in, what they're arguing for. TYT is a good example of this. The more views they espouse that are anti-left, the more their regular viewership drops. They get clicks on YouTube for the drama of it, but they've lost a true dedicated following. Well, not only that, they're incoherent. Like TYT's political views are now incoherent. And it's because they lack socialism. They lack dialectical materialism. They lack a meta-narrative. If you lack a meta-narrative, you're going to be tossed by the waves of public opinion and experience. You're not going to be able to interpret things. That's why people, you know, it's so funny because that's also where conservatism is right now. Conservatism we are in postmodern conservatism. They don't actually believe in anything. It's like their version of Christianity is a bumper sticker on the truck next to the truck nuts. They say, I'm a Christian. What type of Christian? Do you believe that the Pope is the vicar on earth and is infallible on his interpretations of scripture and moral teaching? Do you believe that the church in Rome is the forebearer of the Antichrist? Do you think Joseph Smith and was a new prophet for the revelation in America? Do you believe that the church in Rome was corrupted, but everything else is pretty good? Like what are you talking about? Which Christianity do you believe? Do you believe women can be pastors, or do you believe it should be celibate men? Do you believe in the sacrament? Do you believe in infant baptism or adult baptism? Do you believe in any, what type of Christianity are you talking about? And this is the reality, is that they say Christian, but it doesn't mean anything. It's an empty signifier. It's a postmodern version of Christianity. It is simply it is an identifier that is pseudo blood. They'll say, I'm Christian, and what they mean by that is it stands in for like a blood and soil. Like, this is the reality of our politics today, is like conservatism it's a conservatism of blockbuster, blockbuster video reopening. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
Is your experience of reality actually rooted in reality? Or is it mediated by something else? Let's talk about hyperreality. In Simulacra and Simulation, Jean Baudrillard suggests that media, capital, and commodification favor the generation of copies over the creation of new, original things. Through repeated copying, representations become increasingly distorted, resulting in a world of empty images, or simulacra. This process occurs in 4 stages. 1. A genuine reflection of reality. 2. A distorted copy which masks aspects of reality. 3. An illusion posing as a faithful reflection. And 4. Pure simulacrum, a copy for which there is no original. These simulacra constitute hyperreality, an existence in which representations are indistinguishable from reality. What is at stake in all of this? Meaning, art, divinity, authenticity? In a world of pure simulacra, Baudrillard believes we experience only the absence of these things, wrapped in an artifice of resemblance.
Actually, this book is cited in The Matrix. Funny little Easter egg for you. This book is actually cited in The Matrix. Oh, no. China unveils new quantum supercomputer, which is 1 million times faster than Google's supercomputer. Is this true? Is this true? If this is true, that means that if they actually have, from what I understand about quantum computing, and again, I only understand it from a political lens, which is that if you have a powerful quantum computer, basically encryption doesn't work. Quantum singularity ahead, China's Zhuangzi 3 reshapes quantum race. I tried. A 105 qubit superconducting quantum processor that reportedly operates 10 to the 15 times faster than the world's most powerful classical supercomputer. It represents a dramatic escalation of the global quantum computing competition with powerful performance claims that go neck and neck with Google's Willow. As the race heats up, the quantum computing singularity seems closer than ever. What are they saying this is supposed to mean? Think of quantum computing as the speed of light. We will never achieve it, and 99.9999% does not matter. I just got back from the Mahmoud protest in Manhattan. Newfound energy. Palestine will be free. Hell yeah, brother. Is there one in LA today, chat? I'm just reading what that chatter said. They could decrypt more complex encryption faster, but the other end, they could also create more complex encryptions faster. Okay. The problem with running quantum computers is that you need to run them as close as possible to absolute zero, which is almost impossible. I mean, it's not. We can do that. It's just energetically expensive. If we could travel 99.99% of the speed of light, you could travel anywhere in the universe in your lifetime. You understand that, right? The faster you go, the slower time is for you. Why do people not understand relativity? The faster you go, the slower time is for you. So you could travel extremely far. Now, time would be going fast, so you would arrive 20 million years in the future. Why do people not understand this? And if you go 100% at the speed of light, you arrive instantly. People don't understand this. You understand this, right? Like if something is like when a photon is created, it arrives at its destination instantaneously from its perspective. Okay, I need to explain relativity again. We're running into relativity problems.
One evening in the spring of 1905, Albert Einstein...
This is why everybody likes Albert Einstein, because he figured this out. How do people not know this? It's mind-bending, but it's true.
And a mere patent clerk in Bern, after trudging through his day's work, decided to board a tramcar on his way home.
And by the way, you deserve cartoon, because that's the level of your understanding. AI is even more possible as quantum computers simulate brains better. Positronic brains or mini quantum... Okay, I think all of that is just hooey.
Einstein would often wrap up his work as soon as possible.
You cannot go anywhere that takes more than 100 light years away because you'll be dead. Wrong! That is wrong. Because your perspective of time slows down.
To contemplate the truths of the universe in his free time. It was one of these thought experiments he devised on that tramcar that revolutionized modern physics forever. While receding away from the Zeitglocke clock tower, Einstein imagined what would happen if the tramcar were receding at the speed of light. He realized that if he were to travel at 186,000 miles per second, the clock's hands would appear to completely freeze. At the same time, Einstein knew that, back at the clock tower, the hands would tick along at their normal pace. For Einstein, time had slowed down. This thought blew his mind. Einstein concluded that the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. How is this possible? Einstein's work was heavily influenced by two of the most iconic physicists of all time. First, there were the laws of motion, discovered by his idol, Isaac Newton, and second were the laws of electromagnetism, laid down by James.
You cannot go the speed of light because you have mass and you are not a subatomic particle with the same characteristic as photon. Of course, yes, you can't go the speed of light because if you have any mass, the energy required to go to the speed of light is infinite. But you can still go significant fractions of the speed of light, theoretically. And when you go near the speed of light, relativistic effects occur. In fact, relativistic effects are always happening, and they have to recalculate time for satellites.
James Clerk Maxwell. Newton's laws insisted that velocities are never absolute, but always relative, so that their magnitudes must be appended by the phrase, with respect to. For instance, a train travels at 40 kilometers per hour with respect to someone at rest. However, it only travels 20 kilometers per hour with respect to a train traveling 20 kilometers per hour in the same direction. Or, it travels 60 kilometers per hour with respect to another train traveling in the opposite direction at 20 kilometers per hour. This is also true for the velocities of Earth, the Sun, and the entire Milky Way galaxy. On the other hand, Maxwell found that the speed of an electromagnetic wave, such as light, is fixed at an exorbitant 299,792,458 meters per second, regardless of who observes it. However, Maxwell's notion seems incompatible with Newton's notion of relative velocities. If Newton's laws are truly universal, why should the speed of light be an exception? This presented Einstein with a daunting dilemma. This conflict between the ideas of Newton and Maxwell can be demonstrated with another of Einstein's brilliant thought experiments. Einstein imagined himself on a train platform witnessing two lightning bolts strike on either side of him. Now, because Einstein stands precisely in the middle of the two strikes, he receives the resulting beams of light from both sides at the same time. However, things get more complicated when someone on a passing train views this event while whizzing past Einstein at the speed of light. If the speed of light conforms to the rules of relativity, then the person on the train wouldn't witness the lightning strike simultaneously. Logically, the light closer to the man on the train would reach him first. A measurement of the speed of light made by both men would differ in magnitude. This would contradict an apparently fundamental truth of the universe. Einstein had to make a difficult choice. Either Newton's laws were incomplete, or the speed of light was not a universal constant. Einstein realized that the two notions could coexist with a small tweak in Newton's laws. To get rid of the discrepancy in the measurements, Einstein suggested that time itself, for the man on the train, must slow down to compensate for the decrease in speed, such that the magnitude remains a constant. Einstein called this absurdity time dilation, and his newfound theory special relativity. Newton believed that time moved unflinchingly in a single direction, forward. Einstein, however, had just realized that time stretches and contracts, varying with velocity. Due to its malleability, time, like space, deserved its own dimension. In fact, Einstein claimed that the two were one and the same. Together, they formed a four-dimensional fabric or continuum called space-time, upon which the mundane events of the universe would unfold. Einstein suggested that massive objects like the sun didn't pull bodies like Earth with a mysterious, inexplicable
Everybody
tug,
understands this, but they don't understand that this also affects time as well.
but rather curved the fabric of space-time around them, forcing Earth to fall down.
They get orbits, but they don't understand that time is also being distorted. That's what blows their mind.
This steep valley. A highly simplified analogy is the dip in a trampoline made by of a bowling ball.
But it's not just the trampoline, it's also time.
If a marble were placed on that trampoline, the marble would immediately roll towards the bowling ball in the center. This is also true for Earth's gravity. We are pinned to the ground because space, so distorted by the Earth's mass, pushes us down from above. However, the slump in the fabric around Earth is not uniform, and Earth's gravity grows more intense as we move towards its center, where the curvature is at a maximum. Therefore, like the marble on the trampoline, an object that falls towards the Earth accelerates as it races towards the center of the planet. It falls faster when just above the surface than it does, say, when it is slightly above the atmosphere. But hey, according to special relativity,
the only reason you stop is because of the strong nuclear forces. So, like, that's why you're stopped when you hit the surface. Because the strong and weak nuclear forces are much stronger than gravity, so you get stopped by that. That's why you go instead of passing through. Because atoms are really far apart.
the faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. This means that time...
Do you guys understand this? The faster you go, the slower you go through time?
...runs slower on Earth's surface than it does above the atmosphere. Now, because different planets have different masses, and thus different gravitational strengths, they also accelerate objects at different rates. As we have learned, this means a variable passage of time. This is what happens in the movie Interstellar, when the protagonists land on a planet in the proximity of a black hole. The gravity on the planet is so severe that 1 hour on the surface is equivalent to 7 years on Earth. To understand how motion affects time, let's consider the simplest timekeeping mechanism. A second passes each time the photon is reflected. Let's imagine two people, one in a spaceship slightly above Earth's atmosphere, and the second on top of a small hill just above the Earth's surface. Both are watching a man fall from space towards the ground. Let's say that the falling man is carrying the photon clock explained a moment ago. What do each of the two men observe as the man falls past them? What they observe is eerily similar to what a stationary person would observe when watching a ball bounce in a moving train. As the man falls from space, the light in his clock would appear to move in triangles to the two observers. This would mean that the light travels a longer distance, consequently stretching the duration of a second. It is obvious that the length of triangles the light traces, and therefore the duration of a second, is proportional to the velocity of the falling man. When we recall that objects closer to the center of the planet fall faster, we can determine that time would appear to pass slower to the man on the hill than it does to the man in the spaceship above. Of course, the difference is infinitesimal. The difference between the time measured by clocks at the tops of mountains and at the surface of Earth is a matter of nanoseconds. Time dilation affects every clock, whether it relies on basic electromagnetism or a complex combination of electromagnetism and Newton's laws of motion. In fact, even biological processes are slowed down. Yes, that's right. Your head is slightly older than your feet.
Okay, they didn't really explain this very straightforwardly, but the faster you go, the more time slows down. And it doesn't mean you're limited to 100 light years away. That's not correct. From an observer's point of view, it takes you 100 years to go 100 years, but not from your point of view, traveling in the ship. By the way, chat, I just realized something. We're almost 4 hours into the stream, and I forgot to shill. You're learning so much today. Somebody said wrong. Did you not understand what was just explained? Changes in space, speed, need a proportional change in time to keep it all nice and happy. Exactly. I want to explain it to you like this. Say you have the photon clock in your watch, right? In your watch, you have a photon clock. The photon, when you're at rest, the photon goes at the speed of light. But when you're going fast, say you're going 99% of the speed of light forward, that means that the speed of light of your ticking clock has to go to 1% because it can only go forward 1% of the speed of light. Do you understand this? And that includes inside your body. All your biological processes can only operate 1% of the speed of the stationary observer. Oh, no, no, no. This is how it works. Bro, you're not equipped to teach physics. That's true. I'm not ready to explain this with the math. The CIA versus the radical left? What is this? Imagine being a CIA agent being sent to Duluth lectures. Yeah, that's actually pretty bad. Okay, I might have to watch this on my own time, chat. Anyway, I know that people don't like this idea. Actually, Nazis didn't like relativity. They called it Jew science or Jewish physics. They didn't like this idea. They didn't like the idea that time is relative. A lot of conservatives don't like this idea. That's why Einstein ended up in the United States. Because they wanted to believe in objective truth, an objective morality, an objective time. They couldn't handle the fact that there wasn't such a thing. They considered that to be Jewish science. This is objectively what happened. Better video? I can't watch another video because that one...
Say Bob stands on the side of his train car that's closer to the platform, and he's facing a mirror on the opposite side of the car, 5 meters away. He shines a flashlight towards this mirror, which reflects the light right back towards him. From Bob's point of view on the train, the situation's very simple. The light traveled straight to the mirror and back, a distance of 10 meters, at the speed of light. Sure, looking through the window, you saw the light travel...
Anyway, chat, if you enjoy this content, please consider supporting it by subscribing at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 sub. If you have Amazon Prime, you can attach that to your Twitch account. You get 1 free sub a month. That's your Twitch Prime sub. The only way that people who actually understand general relativity and also talk about politics are going to exist is if you support this stream. There isn't a single other politics streamer who knows what I'm talking about. So if you enjoy this existence of such a stream, please consider supporting it by subscribing. The single best way you can support a stream is by subscribing to this one. Paying for your own sub. If you get gifted a sub, but you could afford $6 a month, motherfucker, how many hours of content do I put out a month? Hundreds of hours of content per month? And you can't afford $6? If you legitimately can't afford $6, then ask for a sub in the chat. If you can absorb $6, and I know you fucking can, pay for your own sub. You're being provided hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of content, and I'm never getting a sponsor, ever, because I fought back. I fought back and in favor of Palestinian liberation. So I will never get a sponsor again. So if you want to reward people for taking positions that are morally right, then you need to subscribe. Denims has a decent understanding of science and math. Hassan and Caroline wouldn't understand relatively at all, but Marat could explain it to them. Oh, God. My chatters are fixated on you saying time goes slower like an absolute. You need to say relative to a stationary observer. That's true of everything. But it also is true. So, like, when you go from point A to point B, those are fixed relative observers. So, for you, you will experience time going slower than they will. So, if you go 100 light years, you're not going to experience 100 years of time that pass, okay? It will not. But they will. It'll be 100 years in the future for you to travel 100 light years. Does this make sense? Now, if you go the speed of light, which you can't because you have mass, but if you did, then it would be instantaneous. But once you go from fractions of speed of light, then you will experience a different amount of time. This is basic shit. That's why when you go fast, it slows time. That's why time travel is not hypothetical. It's real. You can go into the future. You just have to go fast. I think a lot of people have their minds melted by this idea. You could go into the future. You just have to go fast. Now, I don't think we know how to go backwards in time. I think you would need like negative energy or shit that doesn't make sense, or that we physically haven't proven exists. But if you want to go to the future, you could. You just have to go fast. This is shit that people are surprised that is real, but is in fact how it works. Read my last message, science boy. Okay, hold on. Even at 99% of the speed of light, traveling across the entire observable universe would still take billions of years from your perspective, which is far longer than a human lifetime. While time dilation and light contraction would significantly reduce the perceived time and distance, the scale of the universe is simply too vast to traverse in a single lifetime, even at extreme speeds. Oh yeah, true. I shouldn't have said, I mean, I was assuming all sorts of like bullshit that could never happen because of, to be provocative. Like, you're not going to actually go the speed of light because you can't, as far as we understand. Unless you're talking about warp drives, which are theoretically possible, but requires exotic matter that we don't know how to create. All right, and there's all sorts of objections people have to warp drives, like creating all sorts of really funky shit. Like perhaps if you have a warp drive, when you get to the location, it like explodes because you've created so much like an energy wave. I don't know. There's all sorts of things that are discussed about how that might not be a thing. The point is, though, you could explore the galaxy. How about that? You could explore the galaxy, but by the time you finished, maybe it would be the end of the heat death of the universe type of shit. Time travel into the past is possible with wormholes. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's actually true. I think that's a hypothetical. All right, let's go back to watching. What were we watching? Let's talk a little bit more. I mean, I talked about H3H3 and it was really fun. Maybe we'll go back. I don't know. But I want to watch the Mahmoud stuff. I want to cover Mahmoud. I don't want to just do Ethan Klein shit. Ethan Klein, like, here's the thing about Ethan Klein. The only exception to that is a certain person of the universe are accelerating away from us faster than the speed of light. I think we're now getting into the parts of physics that are not settled. My degree is in astrophysics. You're doing a good job explaining. Thanks, buddy. Speed of light is not an acceleration. Yes, I know. It's a fixed speed, which has been experimentally verified.
On a free press. Please support our independent journalism at democracynow.org/give. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman in New York, joined by Democracy Now!'s Juan Gonzalez in Chicago. Hi, Juan.
Hi, Amy, and welcome to all of our listeners and viewers across the country and around the world.
A federal judge has...
It depends on the medium. Yes, true.
Blocked the deportation of Mahmoud Khalil, the recent Columbia University graduate who was arrested over the weekend by immigration agents for helping organize campus solidarity protests with Gaza last year. Khalil is a permanent legal resident. He has a green card. His wife is a U.S. citizen who's 8 months pregnant. Khalil was arrested Saturday at his university-owned apartment. He's now being held in a federal jail for immigrants in Louisiana. President Trump boasted of Khalil's arrest, posting on social media, quote, "This is the first arrest of many to come," unquote. On Monday, faculty at Columbia University and Barnard College held an emergency press conference where they were joined by rabbis and immigrant rights advocates. This is Nadia Abu El-Haj, co-director of the Center for Palestine Studies at Columbia.
Mahmoud Khalil has been a public face of the student movement at Columbia Barnard since last spring. During the encampment, he served as the lead negotiator with the Columbia administration. A mature and gentle human being and a politically sophisticated thinker, Mahmoud tried his best to bring a peaceful end to that encampment. In the same spirit, Mahmoud tried to negotiate a resolution between students and the Barnard administration last week during a sit-in at Milstein Hall.
Yinon Cohen is a professor of Israel and Jewish studies at Columbia University.
Rescinding visas, canceling green card, and intimidating students and staff have become the tool of choice for stifling free speech and undermining the First Amendment. Columbia University includes Christians, Muslim, Jews, Hindus, Sikhs, and atheists, and none of us will be safe unless we're all safe.
Over 1,000 protesters also gathered at Federal Plaza in New York Monday to demand Mahmoud Khalil's release. These are some of the voices from the protest.
Hands off Mahmoud Khalil! Hands off Mahmoud Khalil! ICE off our campus now!
My name's
is Leanne Fullahan. I'm with the People's Forum. The larger context from even before this weekend, I think, is important. The DOJ has been threatening to deport students who have stood up for the Palestinian people over the past 18 months. They have been calling them pro-Hamas. They have been saying they are anti-Semitic. They have been trying to demonize the students in the face of the American public. They said to Israeli media that they intend on putting these students in jail not for 24 hours, but for years. The Columbia administration has been cracking down on the students without even provocation from the federal government. I mean, they only lasted one day before they brought the NYPD onto campus to suppress the encampment. Columbia has absolutely been part and parcel of this crackdown on the students.
My name is Murad Awauda. I am the president and CEO of the New York Immigration Coalition. It is incredibly shameful that our communities have to continue to endure under this fascist regime simply to deliver on a publicity stunt of a campaign called mass deportation. The message that they are trying to send, which is a deplorable one, is that no one is protected under free speech in this country anymore.
Hands up for students now! I'm going to call up now an experienced leader in the immigrant rights movement, Ravi from the New Sanctuary Coalition. They want to terrorize us. They want to intimidate us. This is my home. I was born in Trinidad, but this is my home. This is Khalil's home. This is Mahmoud's home. Right? We have been here. We are making this whole community. You all are part of that community. We are going to stand up. We are going to fight.
Hello, guys
we are
and
not
gals.
going to
Me,
allow
Mudahar, and
this
2020 has
agency,
been an
this
absolutely...
administration to instill fear. We are not fearful. We are strong. We are unafraid. And we are going to stand up and fight. Free Mahmoud.
Release Mahmoud Khalil now!
My name is Alexa Vilas. I am a council member representing District 38 in South Brooklyn. We are standing here in support of a free Palestine. We are standing, demanding the freedom of Khalil. If they cannot hear us, we must be louder. We must organize. They are coming for all of us. And it is us who will protect each other. ICE and the Trump band of bigots have no place here in New York City.
On Monday, the news outlet Zateo reported Mahmoud Khalil had emailed Colombia's interim president, Katrina Armstrong, one day before ICE detained him to ask her to protect him after he was targeted in a doxing and smear campaign. Khalil wrote, quote, "I haven't been able to sleep, fearing that ICE or a dangerous individual might come to my home. I urge you to intervene and provide the necessary protections to prevent further harm," he said. Meanwhile, DropSite News reports the ICE agent who detained Khalil was Ilvin Hernandez, who was honored by Trump during his State of the Union address in 2019, was when Trump was first president. We're joined now by two guests. Murad Awalda is president of the New York Immigration Coalition, longtime Palestinian-American activist. We just saw him in that clip speaking to the crowd yesterday. And Ramzi Qasim is a professor of law at CUNY, the City University of New York, where he founded the legal clinic CLEAR. The acronym stands for Creating Law Enforcement Accountability and Responsibility. Its mandate is to support Muslims and all other communities targeted by local, state, or federal government agencies under the guise of national security and counterterrorism, unquote. On Monday, CLEAR and the Center for Constitutional Rights filed a federal habeas petition in the Southern District of New York challenging Mahmoud Khalil's detention. Ramzi Qasim, let's begin with you. If you can explain what has taken place in the last days, from Mahmoud Khalil's arrest in Columbia housing after directly appealing to Colombia's president to protect him, right through to the judge yesterday enjoining his deportation and your emergency submission.
Thank you, Amy. I can start with what happened to Mahmoud and his wife. On Saturday night, they were walking home. As you mentioned earlier, Mahmoud is a U.S. permanent resident. His wife is a U.S. citizen who is 8 months pregnant. This is the family. They were expecting their first child next month. They had every reason to look forward to that momentous event. And they're coming home on a Saturday night around 8 p.m. As they're about to enter their building is when they're approached by men in plain clothes who subsequently identify themselves as DHS agents. And what they say is that they're going to take Mahmoud away because his student visa has been revoked. His wife protested and said that he doesn't have a student visa. He's a permanent resident. He has a green card. She goes upstairs to their apartment, gets the green card, shows it to the agent. The agent seems confused, calls his superiors, who apparently ordered him to take Mahmoud anyway. And so from her perspective, understandably, her husband was abducted before her very eyes, disappeared to a location in downtown Manhattan. And later that evening, our colleagues and co-counsel Amy Greer and Kyle Barron filed a habeas corpus petition in federal court in Manhattan on his behalf, asking for him to be released. And what the government did within hours of that is to move him 1,000 miles away from that courthouse down to Louisiana to complicate, interfere with his access to the court, with his access to his legal team, with his access to his wife and to his family and to his support network. So what we ended up having to do yesterday, unfortunately, is filing a motion with that same court, asking basically for the court to order the government to return Mahmoud to New York so that he can have access to his legal team, so that he can have access to the court, and so that the court can vindicate his constitutional rights. The court has already issued an order yesterday scheduling a hearing for Wednesday. And also,
it goes right to a private prison. Geo Group, by the way, chat, that's a private prison. So not only did they kidnap him, they profited from it. All right, what's this guy's? Okay, this guy seems very, very angry. What's he talking about? You can bang your bongos all you want. The fascists are going to laugh at you and keep doing what they want. What is your opinion on a nonviolent protest being useless? Okay, that's not correct. That's not correct. That's a wrong opinion. That's a wrong opinion. There has to be what's known as an escalation. This is basically what's happening right now is a conversation for the attention of the country. If people went out there and started machine gunning down ICE agents, the country would be radicalized against them. They would use that as a Reichstag fire moment. What people have to do is go out there and protest, and they have to be seen to follow as many of the rules as possible so that when everybody sees them get brutally repressed, everybody understands that that Trump and his regime are in the wrong. That's how you build public support for your position. You don't just go in there into maximalism because you'll be defeated. Violence is not something that you use lightly. And even if you did that, let's just entertain it for a moment. Let's say that I got 20 people together. No, sorry, not me. Let's just say 20 people got together and they did an organized commando raid on the ICE detention center, and they rescued Mahmoud, and they pulled him out of prison. Then what? You have the entire national security apparatus chasing him down, and then his deportation would be absolutely assured if he didn't end up in federal prison for life, or killed. So what are you even advocating for? What you're saying doesn't even make sense. What we do is we go out there and we raise our voices and we force liberals and fence sitters to take a side. Either they're with the fascists or they're with free speech. Either they're with the right to protest and dissent or they are in favor of authoritarian conservatism. You force people to take a side. You force liberal politicians and judges to take a side. That's the best odds of getting him out and free and back with his family. And if you think a different strategy is warranted, then get off your ass and do something about it. But I don't see you doing that. Just understand, though, that protesting is just, it is mostly a media and persuasion attempt. That is what protests are for. There's a reason why. What did Malcolm X do? When Malcolm X was organizing, what did he do? He got men and women to get in their Sunday best, to get into suits, to get into dresses, to have good hygiene, to look respectable, but then they didn't take no shit. Same thing with Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Act. When they went across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, they did so in their Sunday best with their heads held high because they wanted people to see that the state was stomping on people that were respectable and upright, but who were demanding their rights. I'm not saying that every protest has to take that form. I'm just saying the purpose of them is to force people to take a side. And by the way, you need to have respectful petitions, lose. You need to have protests, lose, for people to be radicalized. I mean, even look at the history of our own country. Was the first thing that they did take up arms and shoot up a bunch of British soldiers? No, they didn't. They escalated through the process. They showed that there was no way that they could reasonably get their grievances addressed. And then and only then were they able to launch a revolution. You have to take people through these steps. Even though I know as a revolutionary leftist that it's not going to work, I still think we need to take regular normies through the process and watch them be frustrated by it in order to give them the feeling that they have to stand up. If you go right to revolution, you're not going to have anybody with you because they're going to be like, well, why don't we just ask? Why didn't anybody try asking? Why didn't anybody try protesting? It's only after a long process of frustrated reform that you're going to be able to convince people to be in a revolutionary period. And the other thing is they actually have to be suffering. They can think something is wrong, but until they feel the boot, they're not going to be in a revolutionary mindset. And so that's just the way it goes. That's the way it's always gone. So the best thing you could do right now is get out on the streets and protest and make yourself the best version of that protest that you can be. Put out the best possible image to the world. And that is what we're trying to do. And when they stomp on these protests, when they stomp on these people, when they deny this man due process, when people see the fascism at their gate, then we will talk about things like general strikes and refusing to go to work. Those are the escalatory tactics. And you know what? The government might collapse any time. They might give in at any point, which would be great.
Raise your hand. What is it like living paycheck to paycheck? Who wants to? All right, let me get some hands back there. Be loud. We got a hand there. Okay, ma'am. Stressful. Stay on that issue, sir. You're not sure if you're going to be able to keep the heat on. You're not sure if you're going to be able to keep the heat on. Yes, ma'am. Trying to find a way to plan a meal until your next paycheck comes. Ma'am? Forget about buying shoes and clothes for your kids. Ma'am? Skipping doctor's visits. Okay, I see a hand back there, sir. Yeah. Fear that your world is going to fall apart, sir. Am I getting glasses or can I get them for my kids? Sir. Can't plan for the future. Hand back there, sir. Okay, psychological warfare. Yes. You make impossible decisions for your family, sir. General insecurity. Okay. I think you got it. So let me just tell you something. If we were a poor country, I would come before you and give you a very different speech. I'd say, hey, look, I'm sorry, we're poor. We can't afford decent education, can't afford decent health care. I want you never to forget, we are the richest country in the history of the world. There is no excuse for people dying young because of that stress.
The government from deporting Mahmoud until the court orders otherwise.
But Ramzi, if he is a permanent resident and he's not, hasn't been accused of any lawful violation, what basis do they have, if any, to actually try to revoke his green card?
That is the key question, Juan. Our contention is that this is all retaliatory. The reason he was arrested and detained and targeted for arrest and detention was his constitutionally protected, First Amendment protected speech and activism in support of Palestinian lives and rights in Gaza and beyond. And the fact that he played, as your segment highlighted, a key mediation role between the university administration and student protesters, which, if anything, is laudable. It's commendable. It's what you would want any student to do. So none of that is criminal. The government hasn't even contended really seriously that there's any kind of criminal activity. There's never been an arrest or a conviction that they could point to. As far as we could tell, the government is invoking, and this is a somewhat novel approach, they're invoking the foreign policy grounds, where the Secretary of State is basically saying that this person, who is a non-citizen, who is a permanent resident, by his mere presence or activities in the United States, poses a threat to U.S. foreign policy interests. Now, none of that has been detailed or specified. And frankly, we don't believe it'll fly in court, because That provision of law may exist, but it does not exist to punish constitutionally protected speech. In other words, it doesn't trump Mr. Khalil's First Amendment rights.
And when you hear, for instance, that President Trump on Truth Social said, quote, "We know there are more students at Columbia and other universities across the country who've engaged in pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, and anti-American activity, and the Trump administration will not tolerate it." What does this tell you about where we're heading?
Well, look, I mean, we've all sadly become accustomed to the sort of inflammatory and frankly racist rhetoric that emanates from the Trump administration. This is no different. When it comes to Mahmoud, it's all entirely baseless. And both Mahmoud and we on his legal team and all of his supporters, including the 1,000+ people who showed up yesterday, intend to fight to bring him back to New York and to vindicate not just his right to free speech, but everyone's rights to free speech. It can't be the case that saying something that the government disagrees with becomes cause for a night arrest. No one should accept that. And so, we'll fight that tooth and nail. And we don't believe that this case will set the precedent that the government believes it's going to set. It's already backfired. If the intent was to silence speech and to dissuade people from coming out in support of Palestinian human rights, well, we all saw what happened yesterday in Manhattan. Over 1,000 people came out, not just in solidarity with Mahmoud, but also in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza and beyond. And we don't believe that people are going to be deterred, nor is the movement that is critical of the ongoing genocide in Gaza and U.S. foreign policy and its support for Israel, nor is that movement carried mainly by non-citizens. I mean, that's also a falsehood. Americans are the ones who are driving the movement. And of course, there are many non-citizen activists among them, but it's primarily Americans. And so they're not going to be able to deport their way out of this movement.
Can you explain what's going to happen in court tomorrow, Ramzi Qasim? And also, sending him to Louisiana, was that just outright punitive?
Absolutely, Amy. I mean, our view is that his detention itself was punitive and retaliatory for his First Amendment protected speech in support of Palestinian lives and rights. And then subsequently, moving him to Louisiana was retaliatory and punitive because he filed the habeas corpus petition in federal court contesting the legality and constitutionality of his detention. And so the government's response was to try to interfere with the court's jurisdiction, to try to interfere with his access to counsel and to his family and to his support network by moving him 1,000 miles away to Louisiana, where it believes it'll have access to, friendlier immigration courts and whatnot. We hope, even though we don't expect the government to do the reasonable thing and voluntarily bring him back to New York. And if they don't tell us today that they're going to do that, then we'll be in court tomorrow asking the court to order them to do that. And we will litigate the rest of the issues, including the free speech issues from there.
And what about the Columbia University? Mahmoud lives in Columbia University housing. This direct appeal to the president of Columbia saying he was living in fear, that he couldn't sleep. How could Columbia have protected him? Did ICE enter private Columbia housing illegally?
There have been numerous reports of ICE in various Columbia housing facilities in the last couple of weeks. Some substantiated, some not. That certainly raises a question about Columbia's role. Bigger picture, though.
Columbia was 100% involved. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, there's no question about it.
In the United States. Your daughter's Jewish. Some of your grandchildren are Jewish. Your son-in-law is Jewish. Jewish students are not safe on many American campuses. Your alma mater, my alma mater. Biden and Harris have ignored this. I mean, they really have ignored it. If you're president, will you send the DOJ to those campuses, the Office of Civil Rights from the Department of Education, to enforce the law?
100%. I mean, the law is being broken, 100%. You wouldn't think you even have this. Did you ever think 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that you'd ever have this discussion?
No,
it's unbelievable what's happening. And when you see these riots, and you see a lot of people, too. But, a lot of the people a lot of those people are Jewish people. You know that. They're Jewish kids.
Oh, yeah, there are some outliers, but mostly Jewish students are afraid to be overt on places like Harvard and Penn.
Students that are afraid, yes, that's true, and they should be afraid. I've never thought I would see this in my life with the campus riots. And
by the way, Hugh Hewitt, MSNBC wanted to give him a show.
And what they're saying and what they're doing. and they have to put them down quickly. They really have to put them down quickly.
They need federal help, though, and that's the Department of Justice. They need a Department of Justice that will prosecute these people that assault Jewish kids. Because assault is, that's real. That's not a protest. That's not the First Amendment assault.
Real. That's real. And they're being assaulted. But look,
it's very funny when people like go into an encampment, start spitting in people's faces, and then say, "I've been assaulted." That's not being assaulted. Also, the idea, by the way, again, there's no proper way to do a protest to a right-winger. There's never been a protest that a right-winger likes. Never. Not one. Throughout history, the right-wingers are always saying the protests are wrong. The only exception to that is January 6th, which was terrorism, which is an attack on the Capitol building to stop the counting of the Electoral College votes. Those people all got pardoned. Somebody on their own campus protesting a foreign country, that's terrorism.
Let me ask you, did you ever think you were going to see this? I mean, I thought this was like semi-ancient stuff, from...
No, we had demonstrations in the 70s and the 80s, but nothing like this.
Did you ever think you were going to see this again?
No.
There's something I wanted to show. There was a clip from Noah's video yesterday that I wanted to show you guys. And this is what the reason why Ethan Klein is allying himself with Destiny is because he knows that Destiny is a Hassan stalker. I want you guys to understand that. Ethan Klein is using Destiny because he knows that Destiny is Hassan's stalker. Like, he's not confused about it.
Destiny has for almost 5 years just obsessively talked about Hassan on his channel. He's made video after video about him. The frequency of these videos increased after Destiny was banned from Twitch. In the span of time since then, he has uploaded almost 80 videos about Hassan out of a total of like 450 videos. So that's at least 1/5 of his working life spent talking about Hassan. In contrast, in the same span of time, Hassan has uploaded over 1,200 videos, and he's talked about Destiny a total of 5 times. 4 of them have come in the last few months while covering Destiny's role in this smear campaign and the credible allegations of sex crimes against him. So that's less than 1% of his coverage. This isn't an internet beef. Hassan has a stalker. Destiny
and that's what, and by the way, like, he also stalks me. He also stalks Denims, not on the same degree as Hassan, right? But they do, and that's why we're all getting fought by Ethan Klein, because that's who Destiny stalks. Notice that they're not really talking about other, there's other pro Hassan content creators that get very much fewer conversations. But because they're not stalked by Destiny, Ethan doesn't talk about them much. It's all that it is. That's the only reason why I am up there with, all the other creators. It's because Destiny's stalking community. And it's to say, Casey Tron is another one. Yeah, of course. Straight reminds me of how a friend of mine got stalked by her ex after they broke up. The stalker followed my friend's new partner and her friends, of course. Even Bad Empanada doesn't get as much because he isn't a target of Destiny. Exactly, because Destiny's scared of Bad Empanada. They debated, and Destiny ran away. Like, that's literally all it comes down to. Can I just talk about Asmongold for a second? Asmongold suggested that Twitch should not ban streamers for anything other than breaking the law. And then I said, who's going to interpret the law? Him, using the guy who used a rotten rat as an alarm clock? Like, he thinks that what I did he thinks I threatened Destiny, or I put a bounty on Destiny, which is objectively not the case under any reasonable interpretation. But meanwhile, isn't Asmongold's community kind of like one of the communities that has been in the like gamer milieu of targeting women streamers, especially after he got broken up with by Pink Sparkles? Like, come on, man. No, he thinks that Hassan should be banned because he would unban Aiden Ross. So pathetic. So pathetic. Sneeko Fresh and Fit should never have been unbanned because the stuff they say, if it was up to me, Sneeko Fresh and Fit, Aiden Ross. I don't know if Aiden Ross, because he's putting out money to do something to somebody, which is very complex, right? Like, Aiden Ross literally offered money for people to hurt his brother who was a Hassan fan, right? Like, that's something that Aiden Ross did. He said, I'll give you $10,000 to hurt your brother who's a Hassan fan. Like, that's something Aiden Ross did, that is a direct offer to someone to do a crime. Again, and he wants to he would unban Aiden Ross. The Amazon-owned platform is starting to become more transparent with their bans. And who gives a shit? Like, you have to be a mental child to think that the reason they ban has anything to do with PR. It's only PR and advertisers. That's the only reason. Twitch doesn't give a shit about content.
Colombia's silence.
Slit his throat? Yeah.
Well, I should say the Colombia administration.
So again, Asmongold is a hypocrite, as usual.
Silence has been noteworthy and shameful. For a university that has so often professed its concern for students, it is remarkably silent now that students are literally being abducted off of the streets in, surrounding Columbia's campus. And I stress that this is the administration that I'm pointing a finger towards because, as your segment showed, other parts of the Columbia community, whether it's the faculty or the students, have come out, and that's commendable. They've come out in support of Mahmoud and of his family, and that's great to see. But the university itself and its role in all of this has been sadly shameful to date.
I'd like to bring in Murad Awade, president of the New York Immigration Coalition, into the conversation. Murad, your response to what has been happening now with Mahmoud Khalil?
This is unfortunately part and parcel to the Trump immigration agenda that we're seeing play out, from his family separation agenda to his mass deportation plans. Mahmoud Khalil also falls under the category of this Trump administration trying to do everything it can to stymie people's rights. We've seen Tom Homan go out across Fox News, CNN, and other networks talking about how individuals who are immigrants don't have any rights. And this is sort of the rhetoric that they continue to hammer down on. But fortunately, for everyone who calls this country home, they have constitutional rights. And Mahmoud Khalil is entitled to those rights as well. And what we're seeing right now with the Department of Homeland Security, and thankful for the CUNY Clear as well as Center on Constitutional Rights for stepping in and supporting Mahmoud in this moment, is that he has a right to due process, and that in this moment he has done nothing wrong. He's not been charged nor convicted with any crimes, and it's incredibly shameful that we continue to see Columbia, spiral downward. This university used to be something that was considered the cream of the crop of universities, one of the top Ivy Leagues. There's a report from the Forward yesterday indicating that it may have been some board members of the university who actually called authorities on Mahmoud, which is incredibly...
I don't sit in Twitch chat and droll on myself all day. Yes. Okay, hold on, chat. Wait. Did we get one? Did we got somebody who came in? All right, this is a rare opportunity. We got a rare opportunity. Holy shit. Okay, hold on. Where is it? Oh, fuck. I lost them. Did you see Dua Lipa says she watches Hassan? Wait, what? No way. No fucking way. Wait, where's the hog? Where's the hog? Oh, here it is. Okay. I mean, Hassan promotes terrorism. No, he doesn't. He objectively doesn't. Also, what do you think terrorism means? Do you consider the founding fathers terrorists? First of all, that's my first question for you, Will Nay. Yeah, are the founding fathers terrorists? Is George Washington and John Adams a terrorist? Come on, hurry up. Come on, hurry up. Answer the question. Anyway, chat, I'll give you the answer because I want to help you out. The answer is yes. Terrorist is somebody who uses violence to achieve a political end, who is not part of a state, right? That's the definition of it. And they weren't part of a state. They were a rebellious entity, organization that was trying to carve out a state and get recognized self-determination. Right? They were throwing off the shackles of a foreign power to create their own country with violence. So we could both agree they were terrorists, right? Under your definition of terrorism and my definition of terrorism, the founding fathers were terrorists. So if the founding fathers were terrorists, that meaning they used violence to achieve political self-determination, would you say that all terrorists are evil? Therefore, the founding fathers are evil, and you don't support the existence of America because its founding was on terrorism. I'm going to go ahead and guess that you don't agree with me. Oh. So basically, the problem that you have here is Hassan doesn't support terrorism. He actually never supported terrorism. All he said was that terrorism is the result of oppression and apartheid, and that every resistance to oppression and apartheid has involved violent resistance. Whether that was the ANC in South Africa, whether that was fighting for the abolition of slavery in our own country, whether it was the civil rights movement in the 60s, every single liberatory organization involves violence. So that's what he said. He didn't say, in fact, we support a one-state solution where Arabs and Muslims and Jews and Christians all live side by side as equal citizens, just like they do here in the United States of America. It's not a pipe dream. It exists here. I live in a city where Muslims and Jews and Christians and atheists and Buddhists and Jains and every religion under the sun live side by side in peace. It's not a pipe dream. I live it every single day. Thank you, Vio, for my mush. So like you're just talking, so you're using the, I think what happened is you saw a clip of people speaking Arabic and you're racist, so you immediately associated them with Al-Qaeda. The people that are allied with Al-Qaeda is the United States and Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is an American ally. You're confused about who's on the side of terrorists. But again, you've never had a mature political discussion in your life. Again, you've been given the floor and you've been given 10 minutes to type something out and you don't have anything. But speaking about terrorists, do you know how Israel was founded? If you're going to defend Israel here, and you're going to be anti-terrorist, you should probably know about the King David Hotel bombing. The British administrative headquarters for mandatory Palestine. Wait a minute, it's not called mandatory Israel. What happened? Mandatory Palestine? I thought Palestine wasn't real. The British administrative headquarters for mandatory Palestine, housed in the southern wing of the King David Hotel in Jerusalem, was bombed in a terrorist attack on 22nd July 1946 by the militant right-wing Zionist underground organization Irgun during the Jewish insurgency. 91 people of various nationalities were killed, including Arabs, Britons, and Jews, and 46 were injured. Wait a minute. I thought you were against terrorism. You're supporting Israel? You're supporting Israel? Well, what happened to Irgun? Obviously, Irgun is some sort of radical right-wing organization that went away, right? The organization committed acts of terrorism against Palestinian Arabs as well as British authorities who were required as illegal occupiers. It was described as a terrorist organization by the United States, the British, and United Nations governments, as well as the Anglo-American Committee of Inquiry, the 1946 Zionist Congress, and the Jewish Agency. Albert Einstein, in a letter to the New York Times in 1948, compared Irgun and its successor Harut Party to Nazi and fascist parties and described it as a terrorist, right-wing, chauvinist organization. Albert Einstein, that guy's pretty smart. Notable, Menachem Begin was the 6th prime minister of Israel and founder of Harut and Likud. Wait a minute, Likud party? That's Benjamin Netanyahu's party. So the current party in charge of Israel is a literal terrorist party? Again, I don't think you are I don't think you have a big problem with terrorists. And this is a party that Albert Einstein called Nazi. Again, Jewish, genius, Albert Einstein, internationally recognized as one of the smartest men to ever live. I think maybe you don't care about this issue that much. I don't think you know much, is what I'm getting at. So why are you involving yourself, Will Nay? Are you still here? Oh, now you're doing both sides. Now, what happens typically when people do this both side stuff is because you don't know anything and you got caught. And you thought, well, there's two sides to every story, so both sides are equally valid. Who taught you that? Who taught you to be that stupid? Right now, you have an Israeli government that is an occupier, which is a colony, which is a state that believes in Jewish supremacy. Do you believe in Jewish supremacy? Do you believe that Jews should rule over Arabs and they not have equal rights? And that Christians shouldn't have equal rights? And Muslims shouldn't? Do you believe that? If you don't believe that, which I hope you don't, because it's fucking psychotic. If you believe in equal rights between all human beings, I think you believe in that, right? Then you have to oppose what Israel's doing. It doesn't mean Hamas is good, but Hamas isn't the only organization in Palestine, man. It's just that it's supported by a certain organization. Here's the Times of Israel. For years, Netanyahu propped up Hamas. Now it's blown up in our faces. Wait a minute! It looks like if you really support Hamas, you're Benjamin Netanyahu, who's the prime minister of Israel. They supported Hamas. For years, the various governments led by Benjamin Netanyahu took an approach that divided power between the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, bringing Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas to his knees while making moves that propped up the Hamas terror group. The idea was to prevent Abbas or anyone else in the Palestinian Authority's West Bank government from advancing toward the establishment of a Palestinian state. Thus, amid his bid to impair Abbas, Hamas was upgraded from a mere terror group to an organization with which Israel held indirect negotiations via Egypt. and one that was allowed to receive infusions of cash from abroad. Hamas exists because of Israel. So all of this is to say, you don't know what you're talking about. And why are you here? Why are you here? You don't know anything, and you're here to attack me and Hassan. Why did you get here? How did you get here? Who brought you here? Who tricked you? Who lied to you? Who manipulated you? You said we supported terrorists, and all of a sudden it turns out that Benjamin Netanyahu is the one who supported Hamas. Israel's prime minister supported Hamas. Why? Because he wanted to avoid the Palestinians have a country of their own. Why? So they could steal their land and kill their kids. And they've killed 100,000 civilians with our tax dollars. This isn't just a country having a war that we have nothing to do with. We have given $330 billion to Israel. This isn't just like a country we're not involved with. This is my tax dollars. So yeah, when I see dead fucking kids, it pisses me off. When I see our tax dollars, which could go towards housing the homeless people that are on my block, or fixing the pothole that almost flattened my tire the other day, it dented my rim, because we can't fix our roads, and we have no public transit, and we have shitty schools with asbestos in it, and we're spending $330 billion to kill 100,000 fucking civilians. And you're telling me that both sides are the same? You delusional fucking coward. Yeah, I know shit that you don't know. I'm smarter than you, but it doesn't mean you can't learn. Have some fucking shame. You show up here not knowing anything. You thought Ethan Klein was telling the truth about us. You dummy. That coward would never. Why do you think he refuses to debate Hassan on any of this? Because he's a dumb Beverly Hills millionaire who got famous from a dumb video called Vape Nash. And he was making videos early on YouTube. So he won the fucking lottery for the most mediocre dumbass. And he's been coasting off that for a decade. And he started talking about real shit. And now he's getting blowback for the first time in his life. He talked about something that mattered. That wasn't him farting in Denny's or having his dog shit all over the studio. Fucking loser. And yeah, I don't mind being mad. You're goddamn right I'm mad. I'm mad that my money has been stolen to kill kids. And I share a country with people like you lazy sack of shit with no moral backbone, both sides. Now you're anti-Israel all of a sudden, but yet you're here trying to help get deplatformed the only people that stand up to Israel. Our entire government is full of paid stooges for Israel. And they get millions of dollars to send our tax dollars, billions of our tax dollars overseas. That's who our government is. So you're going over here to attack the few people that are standing up for the kids that are being killed. And you're trying to do both sides. You're an Israel supporter, whether you like it or not, you fucking scum. And if you think I am not an Israel supporter, then you should be giving me your money and doing everything you can to defend people like me, you fucking loser. That's the only way you could get both sides. Because if they get their way, they'll ban every single person who objects to the murdering of kids. That's the fight. And you're on the side of the people trying to ban. Fucking coward. Anything else to say? Nothing? I didn't think so. See, that's why Ethan Klein fans and Destiny fans don't come in here. That's why these fuckers don't come in here. That's why they stay on their subreddits and they find some place where I replied to someone a couple times 8 levels deep in Twitter, and then they take a screenshot and post it on the Reddit so they can all brigade the one tweet. That's why they don't come in here. They don't say anything because they know they can't. Pyro, thank you for the 10 tier 1s. I appreciate everyone for the gifted subs. Thank you for supporting the stream, but it's just embarrassing. And like the one thing, you know what's really fucked up in America is a lot of people have been convinced that leftists are just gentle blue-haired women. It's not that gentle blue-haired women are not an important part of leftism. It's just they've been convinced that they're all these people that they're cringe and small and we can bully and we can be misogynist against. And that's why they hate Hassan, because he proves that lie incorrect. That's why they're so focused on attacking Hassan and trying to deplatform Hassan, because they can't debate the points. Andrew Tate got fucking owned by Hassan and his entire career never recovered. That's why they're focused on anti-Hassan, because they are fucking cucks.
How many more New Yorkers? How many more New Yorkers?
Amendment, Tom Homan? When we asked Tom Homan, all he had to answer for that cruelty was a smirk. Because there is no answer for taking a man from his pregnant wife, who is due to deliver their newborn child in a month, from their Columbia University apartment, a day after that same man, Mahmoud Khalil, wrote to Columbia University and said he feared for his life. The cowardice that is on display across our city and our state is unacceptable. New Yorkers are looking to us. They are looking to their leaders for courage and for conviction. And what they are finding instead is collaboration. And that is just simply unacceptable.
Garganimal, thank you. Zorod he's a cool motherfucker, man. He's so cool. And this is how you know he's cool. This is how you know he's good. He follows me, which is Chad shit. Only the biggest Chads follow me on Twitter. If a politician follows me on Twitter, that shows that they have big old balls. Because I am not exactly someone who censors. Super duper based. Contact him to get him on the stream already. I would love to.
How many more New Yorkers will the judge red target?
If you know anybody who lives in New York City, donate to his campaign because you get 8-to-1 matching funds. And the main impediment to him winning is name recognition.
As we reported last night, of the more than 51,000 migrants currently detained in the United States by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, upward of 8,000 are held in prisons and jails in Louisiana. In the last of our two-part report about the rapid expansion of ICE detention in Louisiana, we will hear from a local sheriff whose jail holds federal detainees. NewsHour Weekend Special Correspondent Joanne Elgert-Jennings reported this story in cooperation with the New Orleans Advocate and ITVS.
Jackson Parish is typical of northern Louisiana. Rural, quiet, conservative, and close-knit. Also typical are shuttered stores, a symptom of a stagnant economy, and the struggle to employ people. One reliable employer has been the Jackson Parish Correctional Center. The jail is operated by LaSalle Corrections, a local private prison company, but it's managed and under the jurisdiction of the Sheriff's Department. Andy Brown was elected sheriff of Jackson Parish in 2003.
One of the things that I faced when I took over, we had a jail that was built in 1936. The conditions were horrible, and I knew I had to close that jail and try to come up with something that would benefit our parish.
So he reached out to LaSalle Corrections.
After many meetings, many discussions, a lot of negotiation, we agreed that LaSalle would come here and build this facility.
They built a jail with capacity to hold 600 inmates, and later more than doubled that. The population of Jackson Parish is about 15,000.
So why does a parish your size need a jail so
Well,
big?
it necessarily did not need a jail this size. But in our negotiations with LaSalle management, I wanted a parish jail. And one thing that I have to tell you, this prison did not cost the taxpayers any money. LaSalle management come in and built this. And, they're going to build it on a scale to where it fits their needs, not necessarily mine. They're in the business of making money. I'm not necessarily in the business of making money. I'm in the business of making sure this operates right and it carries on and like it's supposed to.
Historically, Louisiana has been known as America's incarceration capital. Overcrowding in its prisons has led the state to rely on local sheriffs, working in partnership with for-profit companies. Together, they've built large facilities to house more than half of the state's prisoners.
The way that we pay local sheriffs is on a per diem system, which means that they're paid per head, per day, for each individual that they house.
Katie Schwartzman is legal director for the American Civil Liberties Union in Louisiana.
Well, that incentivizes economically incarcerating the most people that you can and saving as much money as you can on things like services and basic provisions.
The arrangement has provided a boost to economically depressed rural communities while increasing profits for the private companies. But in 2017, Louisiana enacted prison reforms that led to a dramatic decrease in the number of state prisoners behind bars. Now, many of the cells are being used by ICE. The agency pays the Jackson Parish Sheriff's Department $74 a day for each migrant detainee. That's about 3 times what the state pays to house someone convicted of a crime. Though the $74 does cover some added ICE requirements, including translators and additional health care providers, it's been a windfall here.
The per diem comes to the sheriff's office, and I turn around and cut LaSalle Management a check. Then LaSalle Management pays me. They reimburse me for all the benefits, for all the salaries of all these employees, plus I make some money off of fees and such.
And when you say you make money, that you're able to finance your law enforcement operation through this, or what do you mean?
I have about a $5 million budget at my sheriff's office, and this year we will probably profit $750,000 from the jail.
And Brown says there are other economic benefits.
I've been able to create over 200 jobs, and that's very meaningful in our parish. And these jobs, not only the pay, but they get health benefits. And so I'm proud of that fact.
What Sheriff Brown sees as a boon to the community troubles the ACLU's Katie Schwartzman.
Our local sheriffs have figured out that they can make more money on housing ICE detainees than they can on housing convicted Louisiana prisoners.
So there's some people that say, like, you're profiting off of incarcerating people. What do you say to people who say that?
I've got mixed emotions about that. I do understand why somebody would say that. And, you know, again, I'm not in it for the profit. I'm in it to better the area where I live.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. This guy has the most sex criminal body type I've ever seen in my life. Like, we need to check his hard drives right now, immediately. Like, I'm sorry, but there's no fucking way this guy is not committing crimes. There's no fucking way.
To better the area where I live.
ICE says its arrangement with Louisiana benefits federal taxpayers.
He's a prison guard.
Brian Cox is acting press secretary.
The average cost of detention in ICE custody is around $126 a day. The average in Louisiana is about $65 a day.
And Cox says there's a reason ICE contracts with local sheriffs and prison companies.
If ICE were to build and operate a network of detention facilities, ICE would have to staff those facilities, build those facilities. The cost to the taxpayer would be significant. With a contract arrangement, that allows ICE to bring on more beds as needed, reduce beds as needed.
On the day we visited Jackson Parish Correctional Center, 972 beds were occupied by ICE detainees. We met 3 who each entered the U.S. at legal points of entry and requested asylum. All are gay men from Central America. They say they were persecuted by gangs, often violently, and met with indifference by the police. 23-year-old Sergio Gomez is from El Salvador.
I've had a lot of problems with the gangs because of my sexual preference.
He's been in ICE detention for 9 months, which he says is especially trying as a gay man.
It's real hard to be locked up in a dorm with 100 men. We don't have privacy. We all take showers together. We're ashamed and embarrassed.
The ACLU's Katie Schwartzman says that what concerns her about using jails to detain migrants awaiting asylum hearings is that they're being treated as criminals.
Immigration detainees are civil detainees. They're not accused of any crime. They don't have a right to a lawyer in the way that somebody on the criminal side is, because it's treated as a civil infraction. Now you have those civil detainees.
This is basically like imprisoning someone for 9 months for speeding before their hearing. You're watching a stream at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and you're telling me I'm unemployed. That's exactly, people are doing the same thing you're doing, dude. They're watching from their, working from home, from their computer job, or from, you know, their lunch break. Like, why do you think you're special? In fact, my audience, since I start my stream at 7 a.m., is more likely to be functional adults than the streamers that stream at 1 a.m., you dumb fuck. Because people are waking up and putting me on as they, you know, start their work day. Like, why do you, like, this isn't like, you know, a Destiny stream is full of the degenerate fucks who are up at 3 a.m. to talk about incest. Those are the people with no job. That's why I have 7,000 subscribers. Because my viewers have jobs and money, because they're older. I'm not a like there's people that have 10 times the viewership of me and less subs because they have teenagers watching. It's so funny. Like it's super funny when people try to pretend like they're doing well. Bro, you are not doing well.
Detainee folks being housed in the exact same conditions of confinement that historically we've housed people who are convicted of criminal offenses in Louisiana.
I raised that concern with Sheriff Brown.
And I understand that. And I still think that we're a nation of laws, and we've got to protect our borders. We've got to secure our borders. I don't know that a wall is the answer. And I hate to say this, but incarceration may be.
Whatever the case, incarceration will continue to fuel the economies of towns like Sheriff Brown's if Sergio Gomez is any indication.
If you could do it again, would you still try to seek asylum?
I'd rather be locked up because I cannot return back.
You would rather be in jail here than go back home?
I prefer to be locked up than return back to my country.
Incredible. All right. Wow. It's already been 5 hours. Holy shit. I work a manual labor job, so I start working. You're starting your stream. I put you on audio only while I work. I also go to school, so I listen to you when I commute. Yeah, it's pretty normal. Andrew Cuomo has a negative 33 favorability with only 17% finding him favorable. I love it. Zoran is going to win. Zoran is going to win. But the important thing to understand is that when he wins, there's going to be a capital strike, the likes you have never seen. All right. Well, shit. I just wanted to show you how popular Mexico's... This is what happens when you get a left-wing president. Look at Mexico. Mexicans rallied to celebrate their president's victory against Trump's tariffs. Nor should our people suffer harm from decisions made by foreign governments or hegemonies. We are very clear that there are non-negotiable principles. We cannot compromise our sovereignty. Nor can our people be harmed by decisions made by foreign governments or hegemonies. In such cases, we will always act immediately. We must remain vigilant, informed, and if needed, convene again in this public square. Do you agree? All I hope is that Mexico is buying the cutting-edge anti-air systems from China. I hope they absolutely harden Mexico's anti-air systems, interlocking, heavily dense, man-portable, surface-to-air missiles, as well as hardened SAM sites. I hope they are investing. Oh, by the way, Chad, I just wanted to point out I was right about AOC. She was organizing a letter among all sorts of New York representatives at the state level to sign a letter in favor of Mahmoud. Just so you understand that anybody who was saying she was, you know, not doing her job or didn't care about this issue was just lying. Looks like I was right. And then people are still in the replies. Non-citizens are not protected by the Constitution. Incredible. Incredible. You better not be a Canadian political commentator. All right, chat. I'm gonna call it there today. Tomorrow, I want to cover this live streamer who was killed in Tokyo. What the fuck? Did you see that Susan Sarandon? Susan Sarandon is my queen. First in line. My queen. All right, chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. The 5 hours flew by, having fun yelling at fucking worthless Ethan Klein fans who don't know shit about anything. Although there's not very many of them. Do you guys see how they have no shooters? Like, isn't it incredible how they have no shooters? Millions of followers, no shooters. Truly incredible. It's all mercenaries, yeah. And since I've already banned like the 1,000 or so people from DGG, there's really no shooters that could exist. All right, peace out, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Free Palestine.
Fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your possessions, for you have nothing if you have no rights. So So comrades, come and rally, for this is the time and place. Join the Central Committee and unite the human race.
The mic in me is so funny. With the sussy on the guitar, we love it.
Break down the billionaire system. Bring down the bourgeoisie. To see the end of capitalism, we must set Luigi free. Demand that health care be provided, as well as housing and food security. We'll build high-speed rails and revolutions with heads of billionaires and solidarity. Through this struggle we'll carry on. A gift up to Central Committee is one step closer to righting the wrong.